When you hear that Buster HR, oh man, it's about to go down. You feel the tension in the air. Wrestling fans all over the world, get ready for this right here. They're gonna have a field day with this one. You're about to witness Buster unmasked. Lord! Oh! Lord! There's no telling what Buster's gonna say today. We just getting started. Just getting started! Welcome to Buster Unmasked! Hosted by Buster HR Johnson. This is a Buster HR exclusive. We are now tuned in to Buster Unmasked. We are now tuned in to Buster Unmasked. You are now tuned in to Buster Unmasked. We are now tuned in to Buster Unmasked. Welcome to Buster Unmasked! Welcome to Buster Unmasked! Buster Unmasked!
All right, y'all, we're here. We're live. You're watching Buster Unmasked, and we got an awesome show for you guys today. I've been looking forward to getting my guest on here tonight and talking to him. I hadn't talked to him probably about maybe a year and a half or so. It's definitely been over a year. We're going to get him on. But look, before we do that, like this video, share this video, and go to Buster HR Johnson on YouTube and subscribe to my channel. Hit the little red bell. That way you know when content's out. You don't have to look for it whatsoever. It'll be right there for you. Look, guys, another one. We lost another one a few days ago. Another guy from around our area. This is one of the guys who actually made it to the top of the business. Him and King Mabel. Let me just say this about Sir Mo. He passed away a few days ago. It's a huge loss to the wrestling business, period, from the top to the bottom. This is a guy who really got his big break here as the Harlem Knights. I want to say back in 1993, they went straight from the Coliseum to New York, pretty much, to the top of the WWE. Men on a Mission, big deal. Sir Mo and Mabel, hot topic, man, at that time, really got over. But Bobby Horn, man, let me just say this. He is a guy who spent a lot of time around our area and helped a lot of guys around our area. And a matter of fact, man, even in Texas, he's still helping guys there and here till the day he passed away. So let's pay our respects to this man. And when we get done with this 10-bell salute, we're going to bring our guest on because he knew Mo really well. And we're going to see what he has to say about Mo's passing. All right, guys, really, really sad time for the wrestling industry as a whole, but especially around our area. Guys, this year has been hell on wrestlers from around our area. You got V-Man, you got Mo, you got Bone Crusher, and I could be missing somebody, and if I am so sorry. But it has. We've taken a loss. The wrestling business as a whole has taken a loss. It's tough when guys like Mo passed away. Like I said, he was influential on so many people from here to Texas and everywhere else. great dude in the wrestling business. And talk about great dude in the wrestling business, let's talk about my guest here tonight. Obviously, one of the top guys around our area, has been for several years now. He's a booker. He's a wrestler. He's found a home at OCW, Out of Control Wrestling in Hoxie, Arkansas. And without a doubt, the most important thing, he is an absolute badass. I bring to you JPJ, Jack Parker Jr. Jack.
What's going on, Buster?
What is up, my friend?
Man, you know, I just heard your intro right there, and I didn't realize until you started talking about all the people we've lost over the last few months. I knew all three of them guys, and they all had at least a little bit to do with, you know, if not Beer 30's career, but my career too.
Right.
You know, Bone Crusher, I can't say there's not enough words to say about what he meant to Beer 30 and bringing us into EPW back when Brody Hawk was booking. You know, he brought us in and we had opportunity to, you know, work for him. V-Man, I've tagged up with V-Man. I've wrestled him. Man, and V was just a friend, you know,
right.
a big friend, you know, who up until the end, like I could have messaged him for anything. And, you know, if he couldn't be there, he'd find somebody that could be there for you. He was that kind of guy. But you talk about Mo, and I know that's the most recent. And, man, I made my Facebook post and I said, you know, it's a bad thing to wake up to.
Right.
Hearing that Mo had passed. I don't remember the last time I seen Bobby. I'm gonna say it was either RWE the night I won the heavyweight championship, or I may have made one more return to SOAR or to Chaotic Kingdom during that time and seen him. But I talked to him up until he had got, you know, really, really sick and had to go back to the hospital. We'd had, you know, a couple conversations, and a lot of the times it was him reaching out to me to just see how I was doing.
Right.
So, you know, how I got to know Mo is, you know, I knew of Men on a Mission, and I watched them as a child. But me and Bruce, you know, Beer 30, we were looking to do some traveling. We wanted to go to Texas. DJ Brown was the one that recommended hitting up Mo, and because we were all working RSWF together and for Soul Taker, and he hit up, you know, we hit up Mo, and Mo's like, yeah, come down. We weren't booked. We were coming down for a tryout pretty much. Yeah, and we drove down there. We ended up at the Dallas Sports bar and grill or whatever, and we get there, and me and Bruce are in suit and tie. You know, we thought this was a tryout that we needed to dress up for and look the part. So we get in suit and tie, and the next thing you know, trailer pulls up. The ring hadn't been unloaded yet, and all of Mo's trainees were out there, you know, unloading, and me and Bruce just rolled up our sleeves, took our jackets off, and rolled up our sleeves and started, you know, unloading the ring, setting it up.
Right.
Funny story, as we started doing that, some of the trainees stopped. We got the ring, I think, 3/4 of the way up, and Mo told us to stop for a second, called all of his trainees into a back room, and he just ripped them a new asshole pretty much. He's like, hey, these guys right here, they come for a wrestling trial. They didn't come to set up the ring or do any of that stuff, but they're doing more work than my guys. And then they went back out there, and, you know, Mo would come to us and said, hey, y'all are on the show tonight, match 2. And me and Bruce then, for almost 2 years straight, every other weekend, we're making that trip to Dallas, whether it be the Elks Lodge or that Dallas Sports Bar and Grill, and working our ass off, become the SOAR tag team champions. That's where I got to meet Dante Smiley and become really good friends with him. And then the pandemic hit, and
shut everything down.
Yeah, it shut everything down. And I got to say this about Texas. I feel like Texas really wanted to keep a lot of these, and I don't want to just say wrestling. I mean, in a whole, independent things, like whether it be concerts or wrestling or just anything. So they run that rule. I think I want to say we were down maybe a month and not wrestling. And I've stated this on another podcast before. I was one of the lucky ones. I wasn't off very long from the pandemic. You know, there was guys that went, 6 months without getting to wrestle. I think I went a month.
Some of them went a year, man. Some people went a year without getting to work, dude.
And then so what happened was Mo opened up back up at the Elks Lodge, and we could have 50 people. And we come in there, and at the time, Bruce was going to take some time off from the long distance traveling, and Mo was really interested in seeing what I could do as a singles wrestler. So he was really first and foremost at like just trying to, see how good I was by myself.
Right.
And so I went down there. I went down there and worked 2 shows at the Elks Lodge. Then he had Luke Gallows, Alexander Koloff, and Sin Bodie come in and do a seminar. So, mind you, you've only got 50 people that can be at the shows. You have, realistically, Mo kept a pretty good roster of, 15 to 20 guys. So I remember getting the phone call, and this is what I posted on my Facebook earlier in the week. Mo had messaged me and said, "Hey, there's going to be an opportunity here." And he said, "I want you to do the seminar." He paid for me to do the seminar. He said, "I want you to do the seminar. I'm going to pay for it. The opportunity is going to knock, but I don't want you to just open the door. I want you to kick it in."
Right.
And sure enough, I got down there, and one of his trainees who had been working maybe a year, if that, I kept getting put with this guy in the seminar. And so Luke Gallows was kind of doing the wrestling thing, him and Alexander Koloff, and then you had Sin Bodie over here, just a lot of character work. And so when I refer to seminars, I refer back to this one because you have 3 guys who on different levels are somebody.
Right.
Whether it's Koloff being part of NWA at the time, Gallows, who's been all over the world, and then you've got Sin Bodie, who's been in WWE. He's on the independents, helping all these, little promotions, but helping them with gimmicks. And I talk about that promotion all the time that seminar, because that kind of changed a lot of my view on wrestling. And if it wasn't for Mo, that opportunity wouldn't have been there. If it wasn't for Mo, I wouldn't have met Gallows. I kind of become friendly with Gallows, and, as a bar trick and stuff. And I don't do it anymore because I don't drink anymore. But I used the fact that I had Gallows' number, and, great dude. Talk to him every so often, and normally it's while he's at a bar. Like I may be the one phone that he'll text, and
you're his drunk text.
Right? Yeah, I get drunk text. So but no, I learned something there at that seminar, and like I said, and I'll get back to the Mo thing in a second. But that seminar taught me, man, if you got a gimmick, you can get over, but make sure your gimmick makes sense. Like, you can be a vampire, or you can be an astronaut, and that can be your gimmick, but you can't be an astronaut vampire.
Right.
And I think the one that was one that he used, and another one he used was, you can be a lawyer, you can serve papers all day long, or you might be able to shoot laser beams out of your eyes, something cool that you can do. He said, but you can't be a lawyer with laser beams. And it just, that stuck with me. So now when I talk to guys about their gimmick and they're feeding it back to me, I go back to that. Are you you have a gimmick, but are you doing something that's not, it's not your gimmick? Are you
Conducive to
doing
getting over, man. A lot of time guys do stuff that literally works against themselves.
they really do, and I think that's I guess that's the good thing about me was like after that seminar, I go, okay, I'm a big guy because at that time that I went through that transition of losing the weight and getting in the gym all the time, and I got the muscles, and I was kind of finding my own niche of how like I perceived my wrestling, but I didn't have a gimmick. I was just a guy.
Right.
And it was like, okay, what is my gimmick? Okay. And you said it when I come in, like, well, I'm a badass. Okay. Well, there's 1,000 badasses, in wrestling or so-called badasses. So what I wanted to do, and my gimmick pretty much has been the same. You can't tell when I'm wrestling if it's real or fake.
And believability, that's the thing, period. That is period. I don't give a, here's the thing. We ain't out here trying to fool people no more. But what we do have to do, we have to make them believe in us and what we're doing out there. And if you can do that, you got them. That's all it takes is believability, man.
Well, so I went, and we talk about believability. We talk about it so much in wrestling that there's some guys that believe, their believability is they believe in who they are, and it becomes really egotistical, and it becomes, it becomes almost fake, and they become fake, and they don't resonate with the fans. So when I got to OVW and I got to, work with WLW and with Dysfunction, Brandon Espinosa always called me the murderer of dysfunction. And man, you think of you call somebody a murderer, and what do you think of? You think of a serial killer. You think of, somebody that just goes out and kills somebody. Well, in our business, that's not believable. I can't go out there and murder somebody.
Right.
But about this last draft, and again, like this is just learning blocks that I've got throughout time that I love about wrestling. The NFL draft happened, and I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, and I know people out there hate on Cowboys, and I'm not one of those. I'm not one of those overbearing Dallas Cowboy fans who think, "Oh, this is going to be my year." No, I'm just a Cowboys fan. I was born and raised one, grew up one. But we drafted the first round draft pick, and he was a offensive lineman. I disagreed with it. I was like, man, we need a running back or some defense. But Michael Parsons was on there, who's no longer a Cowboy, but he was doing his podcast, and the kid had come on there, and he's from Alabama, so he come from a good lineage of football. But he said when he plays football, when he lines up across the guy across from him, he knows that guy loves football. But by the end of the game, he wants to murder that man's love of football. So, again, I try to tie everything that we do into wrestling. Well, how can I tie that into wrestling? Okay, you call me the murderer. I can't really go murder you. Therefore, I'm going to murder your love for this business. I'm going to murder your want to climb back in the ring with me, having to face me.
Right.
Well, that's the heel version of JPJ, and that's how I look at it. And and again, like going back to Mo, if I didn't do that seminar, I don't think I would have had a gimmick at all. It would just been this big muscled up guy going out there who can talk a little bit, but he's just going out there doing moves pretty much. And then fast forward over the years that I got to know Mo and got to be underneath his wing of him teaching me why I'm doing the things I'm doing, all the way into going into OVW, because there wouldn't be a JPJ that you see today without Mo. There wouldn't be an OVW debut without Mo, and there wouldn't be some of the other stuff that I've got to do in this business without Mo. And I attribute two guys to my career, and one of them, is not only a mentor but a close friend, and that's Bob Evans, Brutal Bob Evans, and then Sir Mo. Without them two guys, me being known on a different level other than just an Arkansas wrestler,
right,
wouldn't happen. And then, you know, on a local level, my guy, and still to this day is my guy, is Dirty Little Dave.
Right. Dirty Little Dave's a legend, man.
Man, he is a legend. And, you know, that's the funny thing about Dave. I don't know anybody in the state of, you know, Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, them 3 states, or Missouri, them 4 states, that doesn't know who Dirty Little Dave is.
Right.
That doesn't have a Dirty Little Dave story. And I go back and I just remembered that old adage, and I think this is something that, you know, and I don't want to rub the younger guys wrong, but because I haven't been in the business a super long time, but I still believe in that, you know, and I can cuss on here, right?
Dude, you can say what you want, man.
I still believe in that. Sit down and shut the fuck up.
Right. Listen, shut your fucking mouth, open your ears, and absorb, man. You'll learn more listening in the wrestling business than you ever will talking, man.
Man, I guarantee it. And that's the thing. And like, that's what I tried now, because I feel like getting to do the things that I've got to do in the business and learn under Moe's, Brutal Bob Evans, Dirty Little Dave's, and then like even I'll go a step further with you know, Cowboy Bob Orton, just getting to meet him, talk to him, and getting just soaking up some of that knowledge. Getting set with Mick Foley for 2 hours at an OVW taping, soaking in all that knowledge. I guess I'm the guy that I never marked out for the guys. I wanted to learn from them.
I marked out on the inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Dude, I understand what you're saying. I mean, perfectly, man. I was the same way. I didn't go up and, of course, back when I broke in, it was somewhat a little taboo to go up and take pictures with the boys.
Right.
If you act like a mark back then, they treat you like a mark.
Right.
You know? But I know exactly what you're talking about, dude. I was the same way. You be marking out on the inside, but you be playing that shit cool on the outside,
right.
man.
Yeah, like, and that's so true, because like I got to meet Mick a couple years before that at a Comic-Con, and when we did the Comic-Con, it was just, you know, I'm there with my family, and I'm like, yo, hey, will you sign this? Yo, and then you do the deal of, you're like, well, I'm a professional wrestler. You have any advice for me? Yo, but you're at a Comic-Con and you can't sit and talk to the man. And it's, you know, and to be honest, I don't really remember what he said back. I want to say it was just, hey, make it believable. Make it make sense. It was something just very simple. And you go away from that going, yeah, but I've heard that 1,000 times. You know, I was waiting to hear some of that profound knowledge that you could pass along. Well, then fast forward 6 years, I'm sitting in OVW. He's sitting in the back by a chair. I just got done with my match. I kind of had that opportunity, like nobody was sitting next to him. So I sat next to him. And then it was like, the first thing he said was, yeah, I don't really like that you wear that mask out. He said, your partners, you know, with dysfunction, they have a mask. You have them, you know, and you have a mask, but you're the supposed murderer, right? I said, yes, sir. He's like, your eyes should tell the story. Your face should tell the story. And, you know, we go back to that old adage, like, especially when you're on TV or doing TV, you know, this right here is our moneymaker.
Right.
You know, and I go back to that and I go, yeah, man, SB, you got a mask. You got a mask, you know, Kyle, and let me be the one without the mask, because I don't need to, you know, I'm trying to kill you. So what I need to hide my face for? I already know I'm trying to murder you. So
right.
that, you know, so I started, like, I took the mask off. Well, then fast forward 2 weeks, I go to WLW. Aaron Stevens is there, you know, Damian Sandow, he's there. And we're cutting our promo, and I'm just, you know, I'm sitting there like that, arms crossed, not making any facial expressions. And he's, you know, he's like, man, like, you look like you want to hurt somebody. And again, none of this stuff happens without Mo. You know,
right.
the guy literally told me, he said, look, you're going to get opportunities in this business. Don't open the door, kick them in. And so every time I've had the opportunity to work and work in front of what I felt like was an opportunity to get me further and a step in the right direction. And again, you know, my definition of making it may be different than yours, Buster, and it may be different than this kid's over here or this kid over here. You know, my first aspirations was make it on TV. Well, I've done that. I've got on TV, you know, whether with Memphis Wrestling, Bluff City, OVW, WLW, you know, the NWA stuff that I've got to do, you know, all that stuff, you know, was me. When that opportunity came, I kicked the door in.
Right.
And that doesn't happen without Mo. And that's, man, and to talk to Bobby a couple years after, I think my last match at with SOAR and Chaotic Kingdom, I talked to him, and then we just talked as humans, you know, not as wrestlers, just two grown men. You know, I was at that point, my daughter was getting older. She was about to graduate high school, you know, and just talking to him, and, you know, and to hear him say, man, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the man you've turned out to be. That meant a lot.
And Mo's a dude. Here's the thing. A lot of guys go off, get famous, and they don't do nothing for the business after that other than draw a check out of it. Right. Mo's one of those guys. He's always helped the business, always gave back to the business, whether he was on top or at the bottom. Mo has always helped other people. I didn't know Mo that well. I've really only worked around him a few times, but, man, he's helped so many guys. I do know that for a fact. He's done so much for the business. And really, there was a point around here after Men on a Mission was done in the WWE. Mo was a big part of Memphis TV on several different companies around here for years, right, man.
Well, okay, so let's, you know, and again, like every time I talk about Mo and I talk about some of these other guys, I go, okay, what impact have they had on our area? All right, because, you know, yeah, if you got to go to Dallas, you know, and work for Mo, that's great. But what impact has Mo had on the guys that work in our area? Well, I know for one, Beer 30 got to go to SOAR and work. We got to work, you know, at one point, one of the hottest prospects in Dante Smiley and his partner. We got to work with him. We got to work around, you know, a lot of Mo's guys that, you know, that are doing something. I got to work around guys that are, you know, whether NWA, WWE, or, you know, AEW now. Then you got the LA Hustlers who got to go to Dallas and work for Mo. And again, you take bits and pieces of everybody that mentors you or you get to be around. And I'd say because they got to go to Dallas and work with Mo, they learned how to be better heels.
Look at DJ Brown.
DJ Brown.
I mean, yes, he's a great example because I'll tell you what, DJ's on fire right now, man. He's big in Dog Pound Championship Wrestling. I think it's Texas style wrestling too. Right. I think he still may be the champion in both of those companies, junior heavyweight champ.
So DJ was probably there before all of us. Now you also and I don't want to forget about her. CC, C-Rex.
C-Rex, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So when I met C-Rex, CC, she was at RSWF training under Soul Taker. And, you know, that's where, you know, kind of our little melting pot of what we felt like was the new Memphis. You know, Big Ace, V-Man, you know, which, I mean, V-Man's, you know, a legend and been around there forever. But, you know, he was helping that new crop of guys. DJ was there, Beer 30, Ace, CC. And, you know, you look at her and you go, okay, you know, she's a very big girl, and you can see the potential there. You could see it. But I don't know if you get the same CC without, or the C-Rex that you get today, who's traveled all over the world, without Mo. Because she went and got into his SOAR Academy, was trained, or Bumps and Bruises Academy, and was trained under them guys in the tutelage of Dante Smiley and Mo. And man, look at her now. Like, she's traveling everywhere. And I want to say, besides Dante Smiley and maybe DJ Brown, she carries on the teachings that Mo, instilled in her.
And here's the thing. Sometimes it takes someone else to see something in us that we do not see in ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Mo, I'm sure Mo seen something in you that you probably didn't realize was even inside you. Same thing with DJ, same thing with C-Rex, Dante, because guys like Mo do that, man. They see, I do, even me, man, I see guys all the time and they can do one or two things. And I think, man, if that mug right there would take that and build upon that aspect, there's something there. There's magic there. I see things in guys a lot of times that I don't think they see in themselves. And let me ask you this, Jack. How much easier did wrestling get for you once you figured out who you were in the business?
Oh my God. Like, so I attribute a couple things to me getting better in the business and figuring out who I was. One, tearing my knee up. And I've heard legends talk about this. They, somebody asked them, when did you learn to work? And they said, when I got hurt. I tore my knee up. It's no secret. I tore my meniscus, my ACL, and had cartilage damage. And I wrestled on it for almost 2 years, knowing that, eventually it was going to give out and I was going to have surgery. But it taught me how to slow down and see the match, where I can see and feel the crowd. Whereas when my first couple of years in the business, it was just going out there and go, go, go. And then the bell rang. If the crowd's cheering, great. If they're booing, on to next week. But when I got hurt, I slowed down a lot. There was a lot of where I couldn't pick up guys like I can now or could then. Couldn't pick guys up and throw them around and do the things that made me me. But that there was the first catalyst. And then meeting Mo and learning under his tutelage of like we went and had a tag match with the Radical Athletes, was Dante Smiley and Ty Wilson. And we had a tag match with them. And I remember thinking it wasn't very good. I thought, man, like match-wise, wrestling-wise, move-wise, I just didn't feel like it was good. And I got back to the back, and Mo's like, did you hear the fans? And I said, yeah, I heard them the whole match. And we were heels, and he said, did you hear them when y'all went over dirty? And I said, yeah, they hated us. And he said, then you did your job.
Right.
Everything else, and I look at it now being a booker, and this is my second or third run being a booker somewhere, but like I feel like the more I learn, the better I am at this. And it's not always about the moves in the match. We know 1,000 guys in this business, even around this area. We know hundreds of guys around this area that can go out and do cool moves.
Yeah.
But can you get a reaction out of the fans? And I don't just mean ooh, cool, that was a cool move, and they pot for that, but then they go silent. Or you got guys that walk out and they got a cool ass song, and the crowd's into the song, and then the bell's got to ring.
Right.
And one good thing about me that I feel like I'm blessed for whatever reason, I feel like, good or bad, I get the reactions that I'm looking for out of the fans. And I can sustain that throughout a match. Well, also the one thing I learned is like just my pacing is different to get them reactions. As a heel, man, I may do one or two moves a night just to show my strength. But that's all it is just so I can get to doing the move and getting to talking shit to the fans. Right. And that's it. Babyface, man, I want to, I know I get in trouble for this a lot because of how big I am, but I just want to sell Girl Scout cookies for the heel. I mean, like, let's make it make sense. How are you going to get me down with my size?
You go.
And then once you get me down, keep me down. Let me sell for you. But when you keep me down, and I think this is a lost art too. And I got a chance to talk to WLW with Ricky Morton about it. I think the lost art is the heel or the babyface, when they get the opponent down, they want to rush to the next thing.
Here's the thing. As a heel, if I'm a heel and you're my babyface and I get you down, once I get you down as a heel, I'm not going to pick you right back up and start doing moves with you. I'm going to put the boots to your ass, rake your eyes, choke you out, do some heel shit. And then in between that, throw a backdrop in there, throw a back elbow in there.
Right.
But as a heel, stay on your guy. Stay on your guy. Boots and fists, man. Eye gouges, it don't matter. Just be dirty and stay on them. Do not pick them up and try to run spots through the whole match, man.
Right. And so I've been also telling our guys to let stuff breathe too.
Right.
You got to let a match breathe. And when I say let a match breathe, it's one of those deals of where if I'm a heel and I'm working you, Buster, and you're the babyface, I got you in the corner, I'm choking you with my boot. I got to let you sell that choke where the fans can see that you are in trouble, that something is wrong. And I think, guys, like you said, it's on to the next spot. Man, like, spots are cool, don't get me wrong, but you got to let the crowd in on what you're doing.
There's so if I'm a bad guy, there's a whole lot in between those spots that can go on, man.
Right.
That can tell this story of these matches, man. There just is. And I'll be honest with you, a babyface, a lot of babyfaces are dead sales. They do not give their heels angles. Ain't nothing I hate worse than I'm stomping a babyface and he's just flopping, but he never moves. Try to get away. Try to crawl, because that gives me different angles to come at you.
Right. And, hey, let me ask this too, because, I mean, this is something I learned from Dave and different guys. So me as a babyface, I'm selling what the guy's giving me, but as soon as he gives me that spot to get up, like, just say you're choking me on the mat, right? You got my throat, you're choking me, the ref gets to count, you get off there for a second, I'm going to crawl to the rope because I'm going to look at the crowd and I'm like, he's choking me, I can't breathe. That way also I'm on the rope where you can walk to me and do something else. And then when you let me up, I'm going to go to a corner. When I get to the corner, I'm selling. And if you got a manager, right there's where you can get the referee. They can get me with something. And then when they let off, you can walk back up and you choke me some more. I think that's such a lost art today I think that we, as the guys who've been places or the guys who've been around for the longest times, we keep trying to tell these younger guys that. I keep trying to tell babyface. I think I tell babyfaces more of how to be a babyface than I tell a heel how to be a heel, because you watch football, I watch football. A lot of these guys have played football, and I was talking to a kid, and I'm not going to call him out by name because he's green and he's learning. But I said, man, did you play football? And he said, yeah. And I said, what position did you play? He said, linebacker. I said, did you ever get a sack? And he said, yeah. I said, man, did you just get up and run back to your huddle? And he said, no. I said, you were excited, right? And he said, yeah. And I said, you were just as excited getting that sack as you were the first time you got laid, right? And he said, yeah. And I said, so you jumped up, you did something, you pumped your fist, you did something, and the fans knew you were excited, and they got excited with you. I said, you got to do that as a baby face. Whether it's a shoulder tackle, you give a big guy, give a guy a shoulder tackle, he gets off his feet, but you're not going to go into the step over, leapfrog spot. You're just going to give him the shoulder tackle, show him your strength. You're a baby face. Make the crowd just as excited that you gave that man a shoulder tackle as you are. And, I think I get it. You got to have good heels to make great baby faces. But I think also as a baby face, if you you can sell all day long, but if you're not getting the crowd with you and they're not coming on this journey with you, they ain't gonna give a shit.
You got to connect with the audience first and foremost, period. In anything you do, especially wrestling, once you connect with those folks, it's a lot easier to put them exactly where you want them, when you want them. Because now they're identified with you. Their emotions are attached to you. And I think a lot of guys miss that. Here's the thing. You can run spots. It's easy to pop a wrestling crowd. You can pretty much make them pop on anything. But that does not mean they're invested in you and what y'all are doing.
Well, and let me ask this. Are you popping the crowd on a cool-ass spot? Or are you popping the boys in the back?
Right.
Because, I mean, let's be honest. Like, we all love cool moves. Like, we do. Like, there's not a part of me that's out there that doesn't like a Canadian destroyer or a Mexican destroyer, whatever you want to call it. I like that move. I think it's cool, because it's something different. But
hold on, Jack. Hold on, just said. But don't do it in the first 15 fucking seconds. Prestigious P. Now finish your thought, Jack. Finish your thought.
All right. Yeah, I wasn't going to bring that one up because, I mean, that did happen on my watch as a booker. But, no.
20 seconds. Wade Matthews says it was actually 20 seconds.
Yeah, it was very fast in that match. And but I go into my wrestling mind when it comes to cool spots. Okay, it's okay to do cool spots. I don't mind it. And I tell my guys, if you got something cool, do it. But it's got to make sense. Again, I think we've got to a point in wrestling because it's changed so much. Finishers aren't fucking finishers anymore, and I don't get it.
I don't either, Jack. That really blows me away. They have pretty much killed off any kind of finisher. I'm like you. They don't even need to call them finishers no more. I don't even know what the fuck you call them. It might finish somebody. It might not. I don't fucking know, man.
Right, but here's my thing. Even as a booker now, and even like I'll even go to myself and calling matches. I think guys look like assholes sometimes when like my finish is the night knee. Like, it's just a knee strike where I yell night before I hit you with a knee. Okay, yeah, I've let a few guys kick out of it. I have. When it's a big match situation that I need to tell that story of trying to put somebody away, and I can't put them away. But then you turn right around the next week and you go wrestle somebody else and you put them away. First one. Like, I don't know how, again, like I would say, all right, just hypothetically, say I was in WWE in the mid-90s or WWF at the time, and Undertaker gave, this dude over here, and I'm saying I'm on the roster, not just a enhancement talent, but he goes out there and gives Stone Cold 2 tombstones. He kicks out the first one, second one finishes him off. Okay, I want to be the guy that, that grabs the brass ring. I want to be the guy that does, that gets looked at, and maybe to be put in a main event position. And then next week you go out on Raw and he gives you 1, and that finishes you off. Man, I look at that and go, man, that's kind of shitty. That tells me like, well, maybe the company doesn't see anything in me right now. But I look at independent wrestling, and that's the way it feels like all of independent wrestling is you got guys booking that don't want to piss off this guy who's not at the point, he may, and I don't want to use the word, curtain jerker or, first half of the show, wrestler. You work, like, just say Garth. Garth's got got a spine buster. I don't want him to work Cody Cole and have to give Cody Cole 3 spine busters.
Right.
And then the next week falling out there and say that's the main event of the end of one of my shows. Well, then the next week he goes out there and works Archer Mosley and gives him 1. Well, both them guys are going to look at me and go, okay, well, Archer especially is going to look at me and go, are you saying Cody Cole is better than me? Well,
for me, that goes back to the story. Where are we at in this certain story? And here's the thing: a lot of guys don't realize you may be a guy that has to help enhance a guy for the story he's in over here with this other guy.
right.
You know, and I feel like if we're deep into a story and this story has led to him kicking out of 3 of Gar's spine busters, it's about the story. There's a reason for it. There's an emotion we're trying to create right there. Just because you're getting beat with one, you're doing that to make sure everybody knows this fucking move finishes guys. It just couldn't finish this guy.
And I think that's what was so good about the night knee is, you know, I went, I think 3.5, 4 years before I ever let the first guy kick out of it. Where I would say, look, if you want to kick out of something, I'm going to give you something else. But, you know, this right here looks like I take their jaw completely off when it's done right, when the guy takes it right, or when I actually, you know, don't actually knock a guy out with it, because that's happened. But,
right.
you know, I go, okay, I went 3.5 years. All right. This is a story that I feel like needs that. And, you know, I used Cody Cole, and me and him had this conversation, and I'm not calling him out on anything, but, you know, I think there's a certain aspect of storytellers and match wrestlers. There's guys that can go out there and they can have these, what Dave Meltzer or anybody would call a 5-star match. And you watch it on AEW week after week after week. Where me sitting back, who loves a good story, who grew up on Memphis and things like that, I go, yeah, it's a good match, but what story did they tell?
If nobody cares, the fucking match don't matter. It don't matter how good it was if nobody cares, and it don't sell more tickets next time you show up.
Right. And then I go, okay, well, you look at the storyteller, you know, some of the storyteller matches. Okay, the matches weren't, you know, they're not 5-star. You know, they're not 5-star. They're good for what they were for, to tell a story, to bring the audience in. Okay, you know, and you look at, in a key example, WrestleMania 3. Okay, we know the Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan match was nowhere near the, you know, Ricky Steamboat and Macho Man match.
Right.
Wasn't nowhere close as good as that match. Okay. Now, there was a small build for Macho and Steamboat, but it wasn't the build that Hogan and Andre had. But who drew the money? Who drew the money for WrestleMania 3? Andre and Hogan.
Exactly.
So, you know, and again, as a booker, you got to put out, you know, and I try, you know, at OCW, I think the biggest thing about me is, like, I try to give the fans everything. I want to give them every genre or every aspect of wrestling, because everybody's tastes are so different.
Especially now.
Yeah, and I think, again, I guess from being around and being able to work the more serious shows, also work some of the very independent shows and do some very, you know, indie-rific kind of stuff, but it worked. And it's one of those deals where you go, okay, I've got this guy over here who can go out and have a 5-star type match. That's who, you know, I'm going to put him against another guy that can have a 5-star type match. All right. But that's what that is for that night. It's two guys. It's giving fans going, man, I'd like to see Cody Cole face Kate Allen.
Right.
All right. I'm giving you that. So you get that. Well, then I've got, you know, guys over here that I go, man, we can tell a beautiful story here. Like, you know, and I'm just using an example, you know, on my show alone. You've got Jonathan Black, you know, come from TIWF, one of Zay Washington's guys. I've got him. He's our new era champion. And then I've got Lee Michaels. Well, Lee, for the 90% of the time that I've known Lee, he's been a heel.
Right. I first met him as a heel. And I wanted to talk to you about Lee because I had some dealings with him when he first broke it. Well, he didn't first break into business about 5 years ago. And it was at NWF. And I don't know if he just didn't want to listen to me or was just hard-headed and young at the time. But he's a good fucking kid. He can talk his ass off. Now, he is small, but he makes up for it with his intensity. He's kind of like a chihuahua with a fucking pit bull mentality is how I looked at him. But he's working good for you.
And I think, and here's the thing on Lee and stuff, me and Lee, 4 years ago at RWE had a 60-minute Ironman match, a legitimate, start to finish 60-minute, no shaving time. We went, just 60 full minutes. And I remember we had said to each other, let's do it Sean and Brett style. No fucking winner until the end. But, we were going to do it a little different of like, we were going to go 0-0 to the end. And then right before the finish, there'd be a winner. Well, 50 minutes goes by. We've got the crowd. But now we're starting to trade them false finishes. Now we're starting to get to the point where, damn, like, all right, I think we've exhausted the crowd. And you could feel it in the match. Like, he could feel it, I could feel it. Like, we got to do something where somebody gets a pin right now. And so he hit me with this frog splash. 1, 2, 3. He was heel, crowd was booing. And, went back against the wall up until, so now we're trying to tell the story. And again, I think the good workers, or the great workers from the good workers is that little bit of, you can sit back there and you call a 60-minute Ironman match. But what are you going to do when the crowd's not into it?
And there you go. That's the big thing. That's the thing I think most people nowadays have the biggest issue with. They come up with a plan, but they don't know how to pivot when they need to. And that goes back to, like you said, at 50 minutes, we could feel that the fans were starting to die a little bit. And here's the thing. Sometimes it ain't the fans that they're really dying. Sometimes, especially in matches like that, you exhaust them fans through that match emotionally up to that 50 minutes, but you got to be able to feel that point when it's time. So, all right, now it's time. If we're going to make it happen, we got to start right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So we did I think at like the 49-minute mark, we did the frog splash, the pin. And then I think I went and I kid you not, I think 7, almost 8 minutes, like just trying to pin Lee Michaels, and we did the deal where now he's a heel, now he's trying to escape me, now he's trying to get away from me and like not get beat. And I think we did a spot where like right at the 1 minute mark, I caught him with the night knee coming through the ropes. I caught him with the knee, 1, 2, 3. Now we're tied 1-1. And I think we went from that 1 minute mark all the way until about the 10-second mark before I hit him again. But I think the best thing about that match, and I look back on that match really fondly, because when we got to the 50-minute mark, we could just feel, hey, we got to do something different. And again, it may not have been losing the fans. It could have been the exhausting them. But then it's like you do that one pin, they want JPJ to win, but you go that full next 8 minutes of JPJ trying to. Yeah. Lee avoiding that. Now they're into it even more, and I think we got the end result of what we wanted out of it. But then I look at Lee Michaels now, and even that person that I knew then, who I loved working with, now he's trying to build up the guys that are coming next. He's trying to help these young guys and trying to make the next heel of tomorrow because, he's, like you said, he's small. He hasn't really ran babyface, but the cool thing, and I don't mean cool in a good way, but he had a back issue, had to take time off. His back is still not 100%. And the fans know it. They know that to be real, But this man's still going out there and he's giving it everything he's got every time he goes out there, and they're behind him. And
he's really a perfect heel in a sense because he's small like he is. You can get away with doing anything dirty. People expect him to do dirty shit, and the dirtier the better. And I'll be honest with you, now that you're talking about him, he's got a little bit of dirty little Dave in him too, with his size and the kind of some of his mannerisms. Dave was a little bit different when he was younger than the dirty little Dave all of us kind of know.
Right.
But Lee Michaels, I can see a correlation between him and Dirty Little Dave, because Dirty Little Dave is when he's on as a heel, he's the most sniveling, cheating, whining, just dirtiest fucking heel, and it works because of his size, man.
Well, and so working Dave, I got to a point and this was a few years back. I think the last time I got to work him, and in my mind, I'm thinking, man, now I'm in probably one of the best shapes of my life, got the muscles. And you question believability. You question things that you did that I did last Saturday night. Okay, was that believable? Did it come off believable? And I think I got to a point I wrestled Dave so much with Beer 30. And I was like, man, Dave is so good, because Dave's made it so easy, because I go, all right, you choke me with a bat. Okay. But Dave's older now. Then Dave breaks out a chair. And it took me a couple of years to realize it. And I don't even know if Dave done it on purpose or if he realized he was doing it. I'd like to think he did. He was throwing the kitchen sink at me.
Right.
He was throwing every bit of all the expertise, all the years of knowledge that he had of being the dirtiest player in the game. He was just doing 40 years of being a heel, and he was throwing it at me. And in return, it made me and Bruce a very over babyface tag team.
It goes back to that 3 knees or 3 fucking spine busters. He needed to do everything he possibly could do to you to beat you.
Right. But whereas, being, Dave's age and his size, if me and him's going to have a straight up match, an eye poke is not going to cut it. Raking my eyes isn't going to cut it. Blow, yes, because I think that's another, I hate that part of somebody getting low blowed.
It's just so overdone now. It's like a cop-out almost now.
But explain to me, why do I need to hit you with a finisher after I just hit you in the nuts?
Right.
I don't have to. You're going to go down. It doesn't matter. My size, your size. The Undertaker. If I low blow him and hit him and you make it look believable enough that I hit him in the nuts, there's no sense of having to pick him up or him turn around into something. No, he's going to go down. He's already holding his nuts when I go for the pin. You double leg hook him, 1, 2, 3. When you get up, you can stay there for a good 30 more seconds because he's still holding his nuts because it hurts. And I think that's the thing. Guys want to add a little bit more to even the storytelling. If you hit me with a belt, right? And that's the finish. And we're telling this story, getting you over as a heel and keeping your title. And you hit me with a belt and I go down. There's no sense to just pick me up and start, hit me with a finisher.
Right.
You just cracked my skull with a belt. I do hate the fact that, there's headshots today and there's no blood. Again, I'm not a big believer in bleeding by any means, but if you're going to hit me in the head, I'm going to juice a little bit.
And here's the thing. I'm like you. I miss headshots with chairs or whatever. There is a way to take them and they look good and everybody be safe. You can do it. We've done it for years.
Right.
Here it's like you said. You've accidentally caught somebody with your knee. Well, sure. Ever so often, if our time is not right, I swing that chair. You don't do like you're supposed to do, block it just right, catch it just right. Sure, you can get hit and it'd be a little stiff, but overall, you can use those headshots. They really, I'm like you, I really miss them because they take a lot away from the wrestling business without them.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it takes that extra. Like, don't get me wrong, I get
believability.
Yes,
if we're in a real fight, I'm gonna be trying to hit you in the fucking head or the face or something, you know.
Okay, but you just said the best part of wrestling, and this is the lost art. So I think because I grew up on Memphis Wrestling on Channel 5 and on Power Pro Wrestling, it's a fucking fight. It's a fight. Yes, right. There's some sport behind it, but it's a fight. And I think guys lose that when they start doing all these cool moves and there's no pin. So where's the sport at? If it's a sport, somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. If you're hitting these moves, you're going to win. That's what you're going for. I'm hitting this big move. I'm hitting you with the night knee to beat you. All right. Well, then when two guys get out there and they brawl, and I use the big man spot, the two big guys, throwing hockey punches and then starting to throw strikes on each other. All right. If you're going to do that, you need to make sure they look believable because it's a fight. I'm trying to whip your ass. You're trying to whoop my ass.
Right.
And then you can go even deeper with that. Okay. Babyface, heel. Babyface is trying to win within the rules. A heel is trying to win by any means necessary. So therefore the good guy is trying to do the right thing. He's trying, a lot of times, and I like a good, baby faces who can chain wrestle. I like that part of wrestling. But what you have there is you have a heel over here that thinks, okay, well, he can chain wrestle, so can I. So it's got to be a back and forth thing. No, you're a heel. The babyface,
right? Instead of just being a fucking heel, like you.
Yeah, you just want to look cool. I don't give a shit. This is me as a heel. I don't give a shit. I want a little egg on my face. I want to give the crowd a reason to call me a chicken. Even, and I've been, I've actually had the fuck you chance before, which, I don't blame that. I like it. And I think that's another lost art too. That I just watched a video today. Me as a heel, I want you to fucking hate me. I want you to look at me and go, I cannot stand this dude. Because I'm going to stand there and smile as you're booing me because I'm going to be like, you can hate me, you can love me, but there ain't a single one of y'all going to meet me in the parking lot.
Right.
So, I just turned back babyface at OCW. I had a small heel run. I got the heat that I needed, and I did something that I don't know. My mind, I guess, works a little different than others. I'm thinking of things that, man, how could I just piss these people off? Like legitimately piss them off. So I started calling myself God's favorite wrestler.
That'll do it.
And then, I get people talking to me and going, well, you may have went a little too far with that. And I said, why? I said, if the crowd knows that what we're doing is a work, that we're not the people that we are in that ring, outside of the ring, but I can have them so mad at just words.
Right.
Me saying I'm God's favorite wrestler. And the last night that I used that line, I said, I talked to God last night.
Ooh.
And he don't know why you people are booing me. Why are you booing God's favorite wrestler?
And see, that taps into people's real life emotion. That's a trigger right there. And that's what good. I mean, I'm the same way. I come from the era of heels got heat, real heat.
Really?
I mean, we wanted to be shit thrown at us. We wanted people trying to wait outside the building to kick our ass, you know?
And I want that. Like I do. Like I mean, I've been nose to nose with fans. I've talked so much shit. I want that. I want you to want to fight me. You know, and because I learned from Dave, I learned from guys getting their cars pushed on railroad tracks, coming out having all 4 flat tires, and, you know, windows busted out. I've learned from all that, and I go, okay, now I got to modernize it.
Hey, well, being a good heel can be fucking expensive sometimes,
it
man.
Can, but I mean, and that's the thing. Also, you look at where we're at. We're in the Bible Belt. I don't know why nobody thought of saying that before, but I go, okay, I'm going to say this. If it gets no reaction, it's just throwing a dart at a wall. If it doesn't stick, it don't stick. But by God, it fucking stuck. And, you know, now the crowd's chanting, you know, when I said again, I reiterated, I talked to God last night, and he doesn't know why y'all are being so vicious and vile, but he told me, if y'all are going to do this, y'all better be at church tomorrow. And I mean, they're chanting, no, you didn't, every time I said I talked to God.
That's good stuff, man.
But you go out there and you have your match. And if you are good enough of a talker, and me and Wade Matthews has this conversation, you know, at least every 6 months. If you are a good enough talker, your matches don't have to be 5-star. If you can get enough heat without having to do a fucking thing yet in the ring, you have an easy night. Because the fans already want to see that babyface beat the shit out of the dude. So when you get to that point of, all right, it's time to get some heat, it don't matter what you do. It don't matter what you do. As long as you're doing it, and then you're turning to them and you're saying, I told you so. I told you I was God's favorite wrestler. This is what God's favorite wrestler looks like. This is what God's favorite wrestler does. And
do you think God would let this happen if he didn't want it to happen?
Right. So I'm choking Garth, and I'm going, y'all are booing me. You know, and then all you got to do is say the magic words. It's like, why are y'all booing me? Y'all must not believe in God. And then,
I'm doing God's work right here. I'm doing God's work.
And
Garth is a sinner. We know Garth's a fucking sinner.
Right. God didn't believe anybody that lives in a trailer park. He knows they don't follow him. But the funny thing was I pinned Garth at one point, and Garth kicked out, and I just sat there on my knees and I prayed, and I was like, I didn't really pray, but I'm looking up going, why did you kick out? Now what I'm telling a little story here of, wait a minute. He's not God's favorite wrestler, because if everything he said is true before that, Garth wouldn't have kicked out of that. He wouldn't be talking to God like this if he was God's favorite wrestler. It just the little storytelling you tell out throughout a match. And then when Garth beat me, it was a clusterfuck of a finish, but it told a story. But
good prevailed.
The evil liar over here, the guy that's spitting blasphemy and is not God's favorite wrestler, he lost. The villain lost. The babyface got his comeuppance in the blow off. That's storytelling, and I got to brag on. 95% of my guys at OCW, man, that's what we're doing. We're telling stories. We're giving the fans angles that I feel like they didn't even know they wanted.
And that's the thing. That right there, that is what is missing in new school wrestling. Old school wrestlers, old school wrestling, you told the fans what they wanted to see. You didn't. You always listen to them. If you put something out there and they shit on it, obviously you don't keep just pushing it down their throats. But you told fans what you wanted them to see. what they wanted to see. You didn't let them dictate what we were doing. And I feel like a lot of times now, even in the big companies, even in the biggest company in the WWE, I feel like sometimes they let the fans dictate how certain things play out and go now.
And so what I'm big about, and I think I've always been this way, but now I look a lot closer. I will set somewhere where I can see the fans. They can't see me watching, but I'll sit somewhere and I'll watch the fans and see how they react to certain guys, or whether it's like, like we have Drop Top Charlie, and he's very young to the business, has a really good song that he comes out to that the fans just get hyped when he comes out there. Okay. But he hasn't learned, and he's learning. So I don't want him to listen to this and think I don't see him and don't appreciate him. But he's learning how to go from that song to that bell ringing and getting the crowd reaction.
Keeping them there, keeping them where the song. You want to, once that bell rings, you need him to keep them exactly where the song took them to.
Right.
He needs to live up to the hype. There ain't nothing worse than having a big build up and then the shit not living up to the hype, man. I'd rather under promote and over deliver than over promote and under deliver.
Well, and also like on that breath too, like as a booker, like, so you look at run times of shows, and me, and I know he won't mind that I say this, me, Mark Manley, Bruno, Downtown Bruno, Austin Everest, and Tommy Too Good. We're sitting in a locker room talking. And we were talking about run times of shows and run times of matches. And I feel like sometimes you may have good intentions when you walk out there for your match. And on the board, it says 20 minutes. Well, then you go out there, and at the 8 to 9 minute mark, you lose the crowd.
Right.
I'm a big believer in, okay, if I'm losing them, I'm going to try one last ditch effort to get them back. I'm going to do this right here and see if it works. Throwing them darts at the wall, see if this works to get them back. But they don't come back. All right, I'm going home. Take this shit home.
Definitely don't draw it out another 8 fucking minutes, man.
Yeah, because you can exhaust the fan. You can exhaust a crowd two ways. You can exhaust them by having a match where they're so emotionally involved that at the end of it, you get the finish that you wanted, but you don't get the reaction that you wanted.
Right.
Or you can exhaust them to the point of like, the match isn't going good, they're not into it, but you keep going and keep pushing it and they never get into it. Well, then now you're looking at the next guys up, and maybe it's just say you put on a good curtain match, but they're just not into it. And they push that limit of how far they go out. Well, then your match number 2 may have a couple greenhorns in it. They don't know yet. They don't know how to get the crowd back. They don't know how. They're not in that getting the reactions you kind of want as a booker from them or from the crowd for them. And so they go out there second, and the crowd's not into that. Well, now you're in the third match, and you got intermission coming up, but it's because the first 2 matches, they're just not into it anymore.
Right.
But now they're exhausted. Well, then I think this is where, sometimes as bookers, we screw up really bad because we're like, okay, well, we got the popcorn match coming up next.
Fuck you, Tim Davis. You go, JPJ. I just answering Tim.
But yeah, like we'll come back after intermission. They got their belly full. But I think, bookers will go, all right, we're just going to go as planned. We're going to go as, we're just going to go ahead as planned. Me, I'm looking at, okay, let's switch this shit up. Let's do something different. Let's figure this out. Because I always want to leave my fans, unless it's the blow-offs, I want to leave the OCW fans wanting to come back next week because they want more.
Right.
All right. And then on the blow-offs, I want them coming back the next week because I want them to wonder what's going to happen next. Where is OCW going to go next? Like this weekend, we have a Halloween show. And I felt like we've been putting on our, whatever you want to call them, pay-per-views, PLE, which I don't really get that premium live event.
I don't either, man.
Call it pay-per-view. But, we build our show the same way that WWE or, AEW builds theirs. Like, you run anywhere from 4, 8 to 12 weeks, and then you have a big show. Well, on the independents, if you run weekly, your big shows need to be are on holidays too. You got 3 coming up. You got Halloween, you got Thanksgiving, then you got Christmas. So you need to have, that way you can get the local fans involved. You get the local communities involved. Like you need to make them bigger shows.
Right. And here's the thing, man. I don't understand why companies do not run Thanksgiving and Christmas like they used to. Back in the day, Thanksgiving and Christmas were always 2 of the biggest drawing nights, man.
Yeah. And I don't know, is it because as and I'm going to use this as a country, is it because as a country we changed? Because, Thanksgiving, there until COVID hit, what happened? There for about a 5-year span, you went and ate Thanksgiving dinner, and then what'd you do? You went and sat outside of a Walmart to go Black Friday shopping, and it wasn't even on Black Friday.
Right.
So, and I don't know, like Christmas is kind of the same way for me. What is, is it because we're traveling more as a country and Christmas night is not as, I don't know. Like Thanksgiving,
Is it not? Well, that's what I'm asking you, JPJ. Does Christmas and Thanksgiving not draw anymore? They've always drawn. I believe they still draw.
Well, okay,
I just don't think nobody wants to run them.
TIWF runs on Thanksgiving or Black Friday. Is it Thanksgiving they run or Black Friday they run?
I don't have no clue. John LaFont's in here. Is it Black Friday or Thanksgiving, John? He'll answer just
right. Well, but like I was saying, is it because it used to draw, and you're right, it did. It drew big numbers. But is it now a thing of fear for promoters?
I think it is. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's economics down to it. Here's the thing. Back in the day, and I wasn't one of these guys. I come after that. Back when I was breaking in and wrestling, they were all still big nights, but not like the heyday and the big guys. But here's the thing. Guys made money those nights, a lot more money on those nights than they did on normal nights back then, because it made it worth you to say, hey, honey, I got to skip Christmas. I'm booked. When that could be $1,000 payday back then, a $1,500, depending on who you are, that motherfucker might be a $10,000 payday if you're the right person.
And you're exactly right. But I guess now is it okay for smaller promotions? Like if we're talking about, NWA, if we're talking about WCW and, WWE back in the day, and even AEW now, I don't see the negative in them running. But on a smaller scale, like a TIWF or OCW,
TIWF actually says they do run Thanksgiving and Christmas.
I was pretty sure because I knew I did one Thanksgiving with them, but
John says it always draws big.
Okay, you see, and there you go. There's somebody I could ask that. But I do think for these smaller promotions, it's a lot of risk or reward because. Think about it. If Randy Bird decided to run on a Thanksgiving, and it was the first time he was going to run, and he draws 25 to 50 people.
Right.
Next Thanksgiving rolls around, he's going to question, should I run? Should we run? Because, and even at OCW, we do the same thing. Like we kind of break down numbers and, what we think, places will do, because we have ASWF up the road that runs, once a month. But we did the deal on September 1st or that weekend, Labor Day weekend. Hub City was running with Lawler and Dundee coming in.
Right, and Truman.
Yeah, and so again, Lawler really hadn't been around here that much at that point. So me as a booker, but knowing the business, is kind of like, okay, that's a holiday weekend. People leave for holiday weekends. And then you have this promotion over here that's bringing in Lawler and Dundee. And I know you're still an hour away from us, but I'm not just trying to pull in fans from Hoxie and
From
Walnut
Hoxie,
Ridge.
right.
I'm trying to pull them in from Paragould, Jonesboro, Bowden, Portia, Hardy. I'm trying to pull these fans in, and I've kind of drew my line in the sand 30 miles away every direction, and I want any and all of them to be here. And then we've got fans coming from Missouri. We got fans coming from, we've had a couple come from Texas over the last few months. And, it's one of those deals where I go, man, do you take that risk and just see what it can do? And if it doesn't do it,
Carl Clapp's in here, and he says that they don't draw any more on Christmas or Thanksgiving than any other of their normal shows. And here's the thing where I have information. Back in the day, Moondog always tried to run either on Thanksgiving or Christmas, or as fucking close to it as he could. And we always used to draw. Anytime a show fell on Christmas night or Thanksgiving, always big draws, packed the house. KAW was the same way. KAW would put a big tent up on Bill Street and run Thanksgiving or Christmas. Always had big houses, and you're talking about on into the 2000s. But here's another thing. Guys are willing to leave home when they're going to know they're going to make some money. It's hard. It's probably hard to get these guys at this level to want to leave home knowing that more than likely they're not going to get a better payday than they do normally anyway.
Well, and also, and to piggyback off what you said, you also got to look at the culture too of wrestling, the way it was then and the way it is now too. And that's the thing. So I try to be a historian of this business as much as possible, like old school, new school, all that. Well, you've heard the Ric Flair stories, the Arn Anderson stories. When they were home, they weren't home.
Right.
So nights like that, they weren't worried about getting divorces. They weren't worried about, leaving their kids on, now I bet now looking back at their career, they go, well, I wish I'd have been home more, but, because you've heard them say it. But back then it's that grind. How many guys are willing to put their marriage at jeopardy? How many men or women are willing to, leave their kids on them holidays and go for, on this level, $50 to $100
at the most. And here's the thing: back in those days, for those guys, the old lady is more up for you being gone when she knows you're going to go make $1,000 or more. If you're Flair, hell, you might make 10 or 15 fucking thousand for one night. Well, the old lady is more. She's like, yeah, I think it'd be better for you to go on. So she's a lot less bitchy about you not being home on the holidays.
Because you think about that, and no joking here. You go and you make $10,000 to $15,000. Christmas looks a lot better with $10,000 to $15,000 extra.
That's right.
You sending that money back from doing the Thanksgiving show, and if Black Friday was around back then the way it is today, or was a few years ago, that $10,000 to $15,000 buys a lot of Christmas gifts. That that's a new necklace for her, a new diamond ring for her. Like, hey,
hairdo, fingernails, pedicure, all that shit.
That makes a big difference. But you're looking at and I don't ever get into the politics of how much other promotions pay people or what we pay people. I don't get the politics of it. But I think probably top end today on a guy on this level is probably $100, $150 maybe at the most.
Right.
I mean, that's a little harder to look at your significant other and go, hey, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go travel over here to TIWF for, $50.
Right. Looking at your kids, they looking at you like, where you going, daddy? Yeah. Yeah. It's a big difference, man.
I mean, because realistically, you say, hey, Dad, where are you going? You might as well just say you're gonna go get a jug of milk. I mean, because by the time you got back to fucking Arkansas and stuff, that's all you could afford. Like,
that's right.
You know what I mean? Like, and then you just miss Thanksgiving or you just miss Christmas. I would like to see something. I'd like to see, a lot of these smaller promotions. And that's one reason why I pushed hard for OCW to join UWA.
Let's talk about that, man, because, and I want to talk about some of you guys' talent too. There's definitely a few guys I want to touch on, but let's talk about the UWA because I was going to get there. You guys are part of the UWA, the Unified Wrestling Alliance. It's basically a group of different promoters with the same kind of mindset and idea of what they want to do. And it's hard. Here's the thing. It's astounded me that this many companies have been able to work together so far because it's unusual around this area, especially.
Okay, so years ago, I remember Bruce pitching an idea, and he pitched it to a couple promotions over here that were running at the time about doing a big show. And me, the more I got into the business and got farther in the business, I just kept saying, I'd like to see us all do a big show, but why can't we all work together now? Why can't you bring back, I know you can't bring back the territories, but why can't you bring back the territory style?
Right.
I get a guy like, so Bullet being the UWA heavyweight champion. Why can't I get him for 4 weeks? Why can't he help build up one of my guys? And then he go down the road and help another promotion. And then after I have a guy that's done a run with us, that maybe was our new era title champion or our heavyweight champion, say, all right, man, like they want you at TIWF or PKAW, wherever. Right. Hey, I need you to go over there. I need you to work that show. And then we get one of their guys. I've never understood that. I think there's been this, and I guess my mentality is like, we have a promotion that runs 30 minutes up the road from us. We have, and I know Carl's been around here, MCW that runs in Osceola, which is an hour from us, and I know they run some Saturday nights. I don't give a fuck what they're doing.
Right.
I don't give a fuck what they're doing up the road 30 minutes. If I'm not doing my job, if us as a promotion isn't doing our job, we don't need to be in the fucking business anyways.
If you're worried more about the next motherfucker than you are about your own shit that you're running, you're already at a disadvantage right there.
Right.
It's as simple as that.
But I think as workers, and I think this is the reason I was big on, pushing for us joining the UWA, because I respect and love all the guys that are part of it. Mark Manley, love him to death. Got to go work American Hostile
Van Buren this past Saturday.
Yeah, this past Saturday. I don't know I don't know Leon very well.
Leon.
I don't know Leon very well, but I've been around him enough to say, hey, man, I respect him. Johnny Dotson and me, have always been cool, and so, and then me and John and Randy Bird, love them guys to death. I worked for them for 2 years.
Right.
And if I'm missing a promotion, I'm sorry. I'm trying to think. What is it? Used to be UCW. What is it now? Is it back to UCW? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's Union City Wrestling.
Right. So, know them guys. I know Quicksilver pretty well. I got to see him Saturday night. It's been several years, but got to see him Saturday night. And again,
You got APW out of
Yeah,
Marietta.
oh God, yeah. Ricky Kennedy, don't fucking kill me. Golly.
You got Crossroads out of Mississippi, Big Daddy Storm and them's company.
Yeah, and all right, I feel like a dick now because I'm gonna go work for Ricky next month for the Smitty. Ricky, I'm sorry. I got, one of your guys is one of my favorite guys in the world, but and then Crossroads. And I think the reason I forget Crossroads is because I didn't get to see Storm over the weekend.
I think his ass was sick as hell.
Yeah, he was sick, but so blame me for that one, Ricky. I'll let you punch one of my guys in the face next time you're at our show. But but I love all these guys. I've worked with 90% of them. I've been around them for a long time. Respect the hell out of them. I wish more promotions would join because the talent pool just gets bigger.
And here's something I like about the UWA and what I really want to see. I think each company needs its own personal diverse roster. The one thing you can't do, I like your idea of the champions, or can I have a guy for 4 weeks? You can have certain interlopers, like Bullwhip. He's the UWA World Heavyweight Champion. Or he can show up, he can interlope. When they tag UWA World Tag Team Champions, the same thing, the champions from OCW. Maybe they go interlope at one of the other UWA promotions. But I think overall, the roster, each company needs to have its own personal diverse roster, and we don't need to mix them to the point where it's all just one big show. You know what I mean?
Show. You're right. And that's why I said I love the way that the territory style was. I don't think you can bring back the full territory days only because we're not wrestling, 7 days a week.
Right.
So if I've got to lose, if I've got to lose Garth for 3 weeks, who's our heavyweight champion, if I got to lose him for 3 weeks, and I only got him for that 1 week, it's hard to build angles. It's hard to tell the stories. Now, as opposed to, all right, I'm building this angle and I'm building it, 6 weeks, a 6-week angle. So, because I know one of those weeks I've got to lose Garth. I'm perfectly fine with that. I know Garth's, one of his home promotions is APW because that's where he started at. Right. So the good thing about that is I'm not going to step on Ricky's toes. I know you've got Garth booked. So I'm not going to step on your toes. Same way with Hostile. I'm not going to step on any of them guys' toes. And again, it's just, if we can work together and, everybody has their own diverse roster. And I agree with that 100% because I believe for the most part, my roster is very, very diverse, and I believe in my roster. I know that the 15th at the Smitty show, 2 of my guys in the Gym Bros, they're going to get to work the APW show. That's their first experience being out of, as a tag team, being out of OCW. But I think that's good for them.
It's good for all the guys to be. Here's the thing. If all these companies can really work together and make it last, everybody in the company can get more bookings and get exposed to new audiences and new places, man. Here's the thing. It's automatically it's like having a booking agent almost without having to pay a booking agent. You work for one of these companies, there's opportunity for you to go and work at one of these other 7 companies too. So you're going to get more bookings.
So if you do it territory style, and it's realistically like, say I've got Garth, who's my heavyweight champion. I've got him for, let's say 3 months. So and we're talking about, 3 solid months, 4 weeks out of a month. So I've got him 12 dates. That's long enough for me to tell a great story with Garth. That's also long enough for me to build somebody up. And then once that 12 weeks is over, Garth can go to, PKAW, can go to APW. I think the difference between us and them and all the other companies is, is there another weekly one in the UWA?
PKW is once a month. UCW was I want to say they were every 2 weeks. Ricky's, when Ricky runs, once a month sometimes.
Right.
I don't think there really is. I think right now y'all are the once a week company in the UWA, man. And here's another good point about that. It keeps guys from getting stale. You got Gart for 12 or 15 weeks. Once that's over, let him go somewhere else and be gone for a month or two. That way, when he gets back, the people are ready for him again. Right. They want him back. Because that's a problem in our wrestling society right now in our area. A lot of guys get stale because they stay at the same place year after year after year, week after week. And
what
it just is what it is.
What did Cornette say? They can't miss you unless you leave.
Exactly.
So, and I'm a big believer in that too. And like, if I have a guy that comes to me and maybe I don't have him in an angle or a big profile angle for him, and he comes to me and he said, "Hey,
John LaFont and them run every week. I don't know how we forgot about that."
Oh God, fuck, man.
All right, you're gonna get a conversation from Randy Bird right now, don't you?
No, John will call me before Randy will. But yeah, my bad.
My bad too.
My bad. I'm just fucking this all up. Hey, Mark, I like being a member of the UWA. Don't kick me out. But no, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I encourage my guys to travel. I want them to get that experience because it's only going to make our product better. And honestly, if you look at UWA in a whole, if these guys aren't actually traveling, if they're just staying in one location, they're not going to get any better. And they're not going to make their promotion better because they're not seeing other talent. And I'm sorry, we've all watched shows, that run, like John, at TIWF and Randy at TIWF and even our show. We got guys who stayed for 6 months to a year. By the end of that year, who the fuck do they have to work?
That's right.
They've worked the same people for a full year. And so when they come out, the crowd is just like, yeah, I don't care. Like, they go out there and have a match and it's like, yep, I've seen this before.
Yeah, it's like that at a lot of companies. And you are in trouble, man. John LaFont says, yeah, you're bad. 2 years working with them, and you can't remember they run once a week? Yeah. Damn.
Sorry. I've been up with no rest today. So
he'll be calling the UWA boss, man.
Yeah. Well, if I wasn't using my phone right now for this podcast, I'd then text Mark and be like, hey, bro, I'm sorry. Like, don't kick us out.
So let's talk about some of you guys' talent. The first guy I really want to talk about, you talk about like guys coming from different places. Austin Everest, he's been at you guys' place for a while now, a few weeks, maybe even a little longer than that. Talk to me about this kid, man, because I'm going to tell you something. I first seen this kid about 1.5 years ago. Good kid, listened well, hungry, but man, he went and did his little stint with Dr. Tom and went and trained with Tom Pritchard. And ever since he's been back, this kid has been a whole different monster. Jack, what's your thoughts on Austin Everest?
Well, okay, so we're giving real answers here, not work answers, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Austin Everest is one of 2 people, and both these guys work for my company, that I consider one of the most respectful young men I've ever met in my life.
Yes.
First night he come in, somebody had shot his name to me, or shot my name to him, and then they shot me his name, and he messaged me. And as a booker, and you try to ask, hey, I want, send me video, because you want to get a good idea of who they are. And he hadn't had very many matches to this point.
Right.
So I'm watching the video and I'm going, okay, he's really, he's green, but he's got size, got a look. And then your conversation with him is, man, this dude's, really good guy. So I bring him in, and there for the longest time, like I was bringing guys in and they would work me. As a booker, but also a wrestler, how do you get a good look at somebody if, you don't get that firsthand look at them?
Right.
And so he comes in, he works me. We have probably 12-minute match, straight up and down, A to B match. No frills, no nothing. And it was, if I don't quit dropping this can, good Lord. But no, we had this, straight up and down A to B match, and it was really good. Now, this is where I just fell in love with, Austin Everest. After the match, we're talking, and it's that old, vet to greenhorn, or greenhorn to vet, or, young man to mentor. What did you see that I could work on and get better? There's a few things in the match, and I kind of tell him that. Well, then it went from that. And when you talk to guys and they ask you that question, some are very genuine and some are just like, hey, what'd you think of my match?
Right.
Well, you start breaking it down and they start making excuses for why they did stuff. And okay, I understand why you did it, but what could you do different to make it better? That way you learn, and then next week you're not doing the same shit.
Right.
But with him, it was so genuine. Like, it felt like he took what I said, and then the next week just
put it into practice.
Put it in there. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. This kid has got something. Now, I will be very honest. I didn't think he was a good heel at the time. I looked at him, yes, while being big, he didn't come off as a heel. He come off as a babyface.
Right. And I'm going to tell you this, JPJ. Here's the thing. In my opinion, because the first time I seen him, the first few, until he come back from Dr. Tom's, he was a babyface.
Right.
And he got over from the first day he showed up at AHCW organically. He didn't have to do nothing. And when you look at this kid, he's blonde-headed. He's a big kid. He looks like the boy next door.
Right.
I feel like that's his true calling right now. I feel like he would be better used as a babyface for his own advantages. But I have seen him over the last few months really start to develop as a heel too. He was really awkward as a heel the first couple of times I seen him.
Right. So me too. And I worked him as him heel me baby the first time. And I think I even said on the microphone, I think I even turned him babyface. If I remember right, I said, man, like you're talented, and again, me working the crowd and working here, you're talented, but you're not a killer.
Right.
You had an opportunity to break my back, and any other heel would have done it. They would have broke my back. You didn't. And I said, I think you're actually a good guy. And it turned him babyface. We ran for that for a month to 2 months, like that. And then I know that he was wrestling for Mark and he was a heel. So I was like, okay, well, if he's going to do that with Mark, we were already starting to do the UWA stuff. And I was like, I'm going to turn him back heel. That switch that he has flipped is beyond phenomenal. Like, he is true blue heel, cocky. He even had a problem Saturday night because he had family at Van Buren, and I didn't see a baby face. I didn't see one of those young kids that go out there when you were supposed to be a heel, and then you can't turn heel because you got family out in the crowd. No, he was straight heel, and that's what he wanted to be, and that's what he was.
And he's a hard worker. And like you said, he listens. He's eager to get better. He wants to get better. And that's a big thing right there. And from what I've seen about him, he's coachable. Because I had the same conversation with Mark. When Mark turned him heel, I had a conversation with Mark where I told him, I said, look, man, I said, in my opinion, he's a natural baby face. Don't fight against the current. And Mark said,
Right.
yeah, but he's going to be a good heel. And I said, okay, I guess we'll see. And at first, and I'll be honest with you, it probably took him a couple of months working heel to really even start remotely getting into the groove. But what I've seen of him recently as a heel, he's leaps and bounds past what he was the first 2 months he done heel, man.
100%. And, you know, the good thing about the first meeting I had with him after it was over, you know, when we've talked the match over and we're in the back, he said, you know, he told me there's a few places he wanted to get to. And did I have any advice? And my advice at first was, man, just get reps. Get your reps in. And then I feel like with your size, with your movement, I feel like these things are going to come. Well, then I said, like the next week, he took everything I said, ran with it. And then, so after it was over, he's like, do you have any contacts with, you know, such and such promotions that I can reach out to? And I said, yeah. And I told him the names to reach out to, and he did. And if I believe right, he's already had his dark match with OVW.
I think so, maybe.
Yeah, he's already had the dark match with OVW. He's had a lot of callbacks to different places. Like,
he's worked some NWA for Joe Costanza.
Right. So he's doing exactly what I think all these younger guys need to kind of, I guess, take note. If you want to go anywhere, like, you know, be respectful. If you say you're going to be there, be there. Listen. Don't. One big thing is take accountability. If you fuck up in a match, or you look like shit and you drop the ball and it looks like shit, own that. Own that you fucked up.
Right.
You know, you can own. Again, you can get better. Every one of us can get better, me included. Like, but that's one good thing is, like, if I fuck up, because Derek King, and I don't know if he's listening to this right now, but Derek King used to chew my fucking ass and just say, yo, you don't get this. But I never made fucking excuses and went back at Derek. I listened to everything he said and I applied it. And, you know, some guys.
I don't mean to be laughing, Jack, but Klein, let me get this out of the way. Klein busts in and he said, did Buster just call Joe Costanza George Costanza? He popped me on that one. Good kid, man. Good kid.
Right.
And here's something else. He takes pride in his gear and his appearance, too.
Right. No, absolutely. And that's a big thing, too, is just taking, you know, again, I'm guilty of probably pissing away 95% of my damn gear that I had and I want to have. And, you know, maybe I got that stone cold mentality where, fuck, I just got to wear black. Just, you know.
Right.
Screw it. I'll make some cool ass shirts and people will buy them, but I'm just going to wear black because, you know, maybe my soul's black. I don't know. But,
you better get your ass in church. That's what
yeah.
you better do.
Yeah, I may need to now. Like, but no, he's such a good kid, but that's the thing. Like, I've got a lot of them guys. Like, I've got a lot of them guys that are hungry,
right?
And that means more to me than, you know, if you go out there, you know, and have like a, you know, oh, I hate that adage. Like, oh, we had a banger. What the hell is a banger? Do you know?
Man, I don't know really the details of it either, Jack. I'll be honest with you.
I don't either. Like, I mean, yeah, you had a good match, you know, or you got this.
I think the fans probably decide whether your match is a banger or not. Well, you know what I mean? Their reaction to it
too. Like, I feel like, you know, the fans would tell me, like, man, that match was awesome. Like, okay, so. And we're going to go off of our show for a second. And people don't hear me say I'm wrong very often. And sorry, I'm trying to plug my phone up because it's trying to.
No, you're good, dude.
And well, I guess I'm unplugging everything else.
That's Garth. Garth is stealing your electricity, Jack.
That's the damn truth. Trying to supply his fucking thing.
His whole trailer park. Now, look, I heard since Garth won that OCW heavyweight title, I heard his ass got him a new double wide trailer.
No,
he's got his own land.
Look, this. I'm gonna say this nice because nobody's ever done this shit for me. That fucker got a truck. Yeah, there. That's better. I got it plugged up now. Yeah, that fucker got a truck sponsored to him.
Damn.
Who? And that video's coming out Sunday, by the way. But who the fuck in the independents is getting trucks sponsored to them?
Garth, from now on, anytime you're in the Dirty Dozens, you owe me $50, motherfucker.
Right, for real. Yeah, like he sent me this. He sent me the video the other day, and he's like, then he called me. He said, "You won't believe this. Central Chevrolet or Central Toyota, sorry, in Jonesboro, sponsored him a truck. I don't know who he's blowing to get this, but by
hey,
God."
Jack, you need to call him up and say, look, motherfuckers, I'm the one that put him over, man.
Yeah,
I need a fucking truck.
Right. God, you can give it to Garth, the king of the trailer park, but not God's favorite wrestler. That's some horseshit.
Right? That's crazy, man. That is crazy. Look, you got another kid on your roster, too. I seen him this past a week or so ago. I was doing some of the UWA commentary, and there was a triple threat match with Austin Everest, Tommy Too Good, and Blade Lennox. Yes. This young man has a prosthetic foot below the knee, and it's one of those metal gimmicks. Talk to me about this kid, because I was really impressed with this young man.
Okay, so I've been working with WLW, which I haven't been there in a few months, but I've been working with WLW for the last 4 years. When I started, Blade Lennox was was one of their videographers. He filmed all their stuff. And man, when I tell you this dude is not only a good, talented wrestler, he is a phenomenal videographer. Like, he does this stuff. Like, look, I'm not the prettiest guy. I got big muscles, but like, I'm bald, not a lot to look at. But like, man, he made me look like something you needed to look at. Like, and so we got ready. We did our first salute to the troops. And then fast forward another year, we went back to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri to do the second salute to the troops. And Blade worked Trevor Murdoch. Well, the whole month before that, leading up to that, Leland Race was like, well, giving pointers. And, like, I know celebrities, and, even in the independents, you put a coach in there, or principal or superintendent or something like that. And I thought, okay, he's just, he's going to do this because you got bugging?
These fucking headphones get hot as fuck, man. They make my ear itch, dude.
Well, I should have just kept moving my mouth when you took your headphones off, making it look like I was talking, because you come back.
I was trying to get them on and off real quick, man.
Right, but no, he. I thought he was just somebody that, because he went to Fort Leonard Wood and trained there, because he is a combat veteran. The leg is a prosthetic. He has served, which he's got an amazing story. So anytime that, and I'll get to see him next weekend, but anytime you get a chance, Buster, get him on the show.
I would love to have him, man. I'll be honest with you. I thought he was a guy that you trained.
Leland Race, and people's asking me, because I have a 15-year-old son who's going to start wrestling, soon. But they asked me, what's the school that you would take him to? And World League, or at the Harley Race Academy, that is like one of the top notch. These guys are coming out of there way far advanced than anything I'm seeing, especially around here. These guys, they know how to work matches. They know how to put them together. They know how to tell stories. And so I didn't train him. I had a hand in on being around him, picking it, helping him. He picked my brain a lot. But no, and then one day Brandon Espinosa called me about a few months back and said, "Hey, Blade wants to travel." Okay, cool. I want him. I brought him out, introduced him to the fans, told a little bit of the backstory that I know, and they've loved him ever since. And then he is just, dude, to do the things he can do with not only just with one leg, but with that prosthetic on.
Right.
Because I'll tell you, I've been in the ring with him. That prosthetic is no joke. And he is no joke either, because you think getting kicked by me or any big guy hurts? Try getting kicked by that motherfucker.
I seen that in the match I watched, man.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, he looked pretty. He really looked pretty safe with it, because that's the first thing I thought. I seen him kick Austin in the gut with it, and I thought, oh shit, here it comes. But it looks good, man.
Very, very safe with it. He's a snug worker too, but that's just from being trained by Leland. But imagine being in the ring with him, getting the shit kicked out of you though, like, hey man, lighten up. Like, I think I'd feel like a dick if I had to tell him that. Like, dude's got one fucking, like, hey man, like, don't kick me that hard with that metal leg.
Right in the eye, man.
Right. But no, dude, and so also another great guy, great human being, a guy that's respectful, respects the business, respects what we do, doesn't go out and make a fool of the business or himself. And I think that's that
goes a long way in itself, man.
It does. It really does. And that's the cool thing about him. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that I've brought in that nobody's got to see around here. Chris Exodus, who's on OVW now. I got to bring him in. Very light worker, but it's because he's a point fighter. Maybe the only guy I've ever thought has kicked me, and I had to second guess that he kicked me, but the fans reacted as if he kicked my head off.
You're right.
And I'm like, I didn't feel it touch me. And I know it did, but it was like one of the things I was like, man, like, and then I got to watch one of his matches a little later on the next time we brought him in, and because it wasn't against me, but I got to watch it, and I'm like, man, they look like, I mean, that's that believability thing. Like, they're believable. Like, he looks like he's kicking the shit out of somebody.
Right.
So, whereas it's me or, maybe somebody like me, I wasn't a point fighter. I was just a fighter. So, if I kick you, I'm not trying to kill you, but I'm kicking the shit out of you.
Well, it's kind of like the same thing with an MMA guy transferring to wrestling. You got to learn to pull those punches. Right. So I'm assuming as a point fighter, it's hard you're good at being light, but I assume it gets in the way sometimes if you really have to actually fight. You know what I mean?
Well, and then again, though, like, I look at him, and I made the joke, and there was somebody else that I've worked around that's been coming to the company that's worked MMA. Could you imagine pissing these dudes off in the middle of the ring, though?
Right.
Like, dude, like, I'm just saying, like, he's gonna kick the shit out of you. Like, I don't know. I know what the work kicks feel like, but what's the real kicks gonna feel like?
Right.
That's
when he puts the follow through in it, man.
And I'm a big ribber too, so like, I still want to be like, hey man, I'm just letting you know, like, before you went out there, like, he talked shit about you the whole time. And just to see if he lets go of one of them. Because I'm a big, with me, man, hit me. Please, God, hit me. Don't fuck my teeth up. Don't break my nose. Don't bust my eardrum, but hit me.
Right.
You know, and you hear about receipts and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, damn, I owe a lot of people receipts, but they owe me receipts too. But like to me, the better matches and better storytelling in my career have came from matches that look like me and that person were trying to kill each other.
Right.
And they were some very stiff matches. I normally apologize before I go out for the match, not after.
So let's talk about your booking, man. Here's the thing. You've said it. You booked a couple shows. I know you booked at TIWF a little bit. Where else have you booked leading? And I know that you booked OCW back in the Beer 30 days, right?
No, I didn't book OCW. I helped book OCW. Like that's the thing. Like full-fledged, feeling like I've get my ideas or my vision of what wrestling should look like, what some good stories look like. I think this version of me is probably the first version of me. I booked a little bit of RWE when we were running in Grubbs. I booked there, and it was okay. I've helped with TIWF. I did a little bit with Johnny at Bluff City. We collaborated a little bit. But OCW was home to me. That's
Right.
where I started my career. That's where, like I said, that's where Beer 30 was born. That's where the first version of JPJ was born. So yeah, I think this time around is like the first version of me, like where,
you feel like a book. I can tell by talking to you, you talk like a seasoned booker now. I mean, just your ideas, the logic. And here's something else. I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lot more maturity in you today than there was even 3 years ago or 4 years ago. I figure wrestling in the bit behind the scenes wise.
Well, okay, so and I have an answer for that. Somebody asked me that same question or said that same thing to me. They said, "Man, you don't seem like the same guy from 3 to 4 years ago," and it's because I'm not. I was 3 to 4 years ago. If you had me booking your show, not to say that I wasn't focused on how good we could make your show, but I was still focused on JPJ.
Right.
What can JPJ do to make your show better as JPJ, not as a booker? So
it takes maturity to be a good booker.
Yeah, and I think there was a certain time, and even there's going to be probably some people that are listening to this podcast right now thinking that I did the same thing just recently, where I make some things about myself, and I don't mean that in an egotistical way. I mean that as I have done, where I end up winning the OCW heavyweight title. Me, I'm thinking of story-wise, but instantly the night that it happened, and I'll explain the story, and you tell me if you thought that it would work, and I'll even tell you where I got the inspiration from. So I had never won. The OCW title is the one title, heavyweight title of the main places that I've worked that I've never won.
Right.
And I thought, okay, well, you just got off of Cody's big chase for, finishing his story. And I thought, okay, we're a year removed from that. Let's go ahead and see if we can't piggyback off of that just a little bit. But I want to piggyback off of it as Dusty, not as Cody. You remember Dusty went and wrestled a couple programs with Billy Graham in WWE.
In New York. You're right.
In New York. And he beat Billy Graham. And there's that big shot of him holding the belt up. And Cody even has this, framed of him winning the belt. And then the referee comes out there and says, no, he didn't win it. He won the match, but he didn't win the belt. And so I kind of piggyback off that. And I go, okay, let's tell a good story here. We had Mick Vicious, who was our heavyweight champion. Me, Babyface, we're going to do a blow-off match, or what we think. What I'm trying to make the crowd think this is the one and only match.
Right.
And the plan was Mick had been using the belt to finish guys. Mick was going to go do something to me, miss. The belt was going to be there for the taking, but we'd already downed the referee, and I was going to hit Mick. Well, then I was going to pin Mick. Another referee was going to come out, 1, 2, 3. Well, Mick was taking the next week off already. So I thought, okay, we could do the switch where the referee goes, no, you actually hit him with the belt, so you're DQ'd. Mick's still the champion. And I said, okay, we could do that. Or I could wait 2 weeks, make the fans believe I'm the champion. The referee who got down got a concussion. So he takes a full week off with Mick, comes back the following week. I'm out there getting ready for a match. Mick's music plays. He walks down. Doesn't say anything, but here comes the referee. He's got something to say. 2 weeks ago, I was down, but I was the legal referee. I reviewed the film. You hit him with the belt. Therefore, you are DQ'd. Mick is the champion. So the fans have seen me with this belt for 2 weeks as the champion.
Right.
And technically, I never won it at all. Well,
right.
And it's like, I thought that was actually a really cool way to actually start the angle with me and Mick. Well, Mick had to take some more time off past this, but what happened was the match itself was a clusterfuck. And so when things go off the rail and you go, there's no way to bring them back. I was like, this shit's off the rail, so there's no way to bring it back. I'm going to hold on to it. I'd had the thought process of turning heel. I did that, turned heel. And then it's like all roads led to me and Garth. And I was like, okay, we're going to get to Garth. We're going to do the drop with Garth because we as a company believe in Garth. And frankly, he's the most over guy we have. He's the guy that you can rely on the most at our company. He's the guy that I believe should be the face of OCW. And probably maybe the most relatable person with the fans, too.
That's right. Garth's got a hell of a gimmick, man.
He does. And the thing about Cody is he's got so much better from the first time I ever worked him till now. When he had that blood vein, bloodhound, whatever Viking gimmick, I didn't get it. I didn't really care for it. Didn't like it. And he knows this. I've told him. But this Garth Mahoney, like I am sold on it.
Well, it goes back to you figuring out who JPJ really is in the wrestling business. I think Garth, he was pretending to be something with the Viking thing, where now I feel like that's who he really is, man. I feel like he is Garth Mahoney.
I do too. And here's the thing, like if you watch his promos, if you watch any type of video he'll do for you, if you meet him in person, like we did the Beatles on the Ridge in Walnut Ridge a few weeks ago, and I feel like Garth single-handedly brought at least 30 to 40 more fans in just by being at that event, meeting him, getting to see his personality, because there's not a huge difference between Cody and Garth.
Right.
But there's enough to know, okay, that's a gimmick, but it's Cody turned up to 1,000.
Yeah.
And when he gets rolling, oh my God, it's infectious. And then now the crowd is so behind him. It's like, he's perfect. I couldn't have asked for, I can't ask for a better heavyweight champion. Now, go ahead.
Well, he's got the perfect vehicle now. The Viking was not the right vehicle for Cody to be successful. Garth Mahoney is his vehicle to let his real personality be who he is, to let his real personality shine through. Garth Mahoney's the perfect vehicle for him.
And so now the fun part, and this has been the fun part for me, is okay, now I have to match Garth's energy as a babyface with a heel. Who do we have that can do that? You know, and I think that's the fun part of this is watching the next guy up. And Garth knows that. It's all, you know, to me, it's always been about that. Even in my career, it's like, while I cared about where JPJ was positioned at in a company, I also looked out and go, okay, who's next? What can we do to get this angle over or this guy over? What can we do?
Right.
Now I'm doing it for a whole company. Like I've got Jonathan Black, who is our new era champion. Well, who did I put him with? Lee Michaels. I got him with a vet. Jonathan Black, so much swag in him and just very smooth. As a heel, he's that guy that when he walks out, you go, man, he thinks he's somebody. I can't stand him because he thinks he's somebody.
Yeah, I actually hadn't seen him really work. It's probably been a year and a half, 2 years, maybe even a little longer at TIW. But
Right.
man, even then he was a good kid, hard worker. And here's the thing, just like you said earlier, he needed to get out from under the TIWF banner and go somewhere else to work to evolve a little more.
I think so too. I think you get into a point like we were talking about earlier. I think when you stay at a place too long, you get too comfortable. And I think because you get so comfortable, your matches go down because you're just kind of either one going through the motions, or two, you've been there so long you kind of get away with whatever you want to do. So if you just decide, hey, I'm just gonna phone it in tonight.
And the worst thing that you can do with wrestlers is let them get bored. The minute
Right.
wrestlers get bored, the matches and stuff suffer. Everything suffers when we get bored. It's across the board. You gotta keep them doing something that's creative and something they feel like that's important to the show, where they're contributing. You do that, guys will work their ass off for you. You let them get bored, and the matches will start sucking.
Well, and one good thing I think that I take from being a worker first, a wrestler first, one of the boys first, I take it from that first into being a booker and somebody entrusting you that you are going to help build their fan base and you're going to help bring their, you're going to help put asses in seats.
Right.
So, but being one of the boys, I remember, being a guy and you go into a place and you know who you are. You know who as a wrestler you are, especially when you get to that point in your career when you do know. But you'll work for a promotion and the guy's like, hey, this is this is what you're going to do tonight. And you hear it and you're like, that sounds good, but I think
it ain't what I do.
Yeah, I think I could make it better.
Right.
And so you go to them and you say, man, like, I get what you're telling me to do, but what if we did this? And I think there's been some promotions I've worked for, and not recently, this has been, years ago, but they didn't listen to me. They didn't listen to any of the guys. And it was guys they'd reach out to me and bring me in, and I'd come in there and they'd say, hey, we want you to do this. And I'm like, okay, I don't have a problem doing that. But I like stuff that I can sink my teeth into.
Right.
I like stuff that I can make, because if you can make it your own, like you have your input as a booker and they have their input as a worker and they go together, oh man, like you're going to tell some really good stories. And I think that's something that we do really well right now. My guys, every one of them are hungry. Again, I think on the independents, like a lot of people say, like a belt don't mean shit. It's just a prop, and you've heard that. We've all heard that. Right. Oh, belt's just a prop. Well, I want to change that narrative. I want somebody to come in and want to be the OCW heavyweight champion. I want somebody to come in and be the OCW tag team champions or the OCW new era champion. I want women to come in and want to be the OCW female champion.
Right. Let me ask you this, Jack. You just talked about it. Go in, promoter's got an idea for you, a booker's got an idea, lays it out for you, and in your head you're thinking, yeah, man, it's all right, but I think we could maybe do it this way or whatever to make it a little bit better and make it fit me. Now that you're in that spot, how is it? Are you open to your guys coming to you with any issues like that they have? And here's the way I look at it. The only bad idea is one that don't get fucking talked about or asked about. You know what I mean? A guy can come and shoot you ideas. That don't mean you got to use them, but you can at least hear them out, you know?
Yeah, I'm 100% open to anything. And, you know, I think the only time where I'll go, you know, where I feel like somebody's just kind of going into business for themselves is when you get that, hey, I got this idea, you know, and it's somebody that hadn't been there but 2 or 3 weeks, and they're like, hey, I got this idea. How about me being the OCW heavyweight champion?
Right. We didn't expect that one. You know what I mean?
Right. And you know, and I'm like, you know, I look at, you know, again, I've only had it happen one time, and I go, man, how about you just get over with my fans first? You get over with these fans, and then because
we'll see.
At the end of the day, you've got guys that need the reps that aren't over with the fans, so they need the reps. They got to get better. So you put them with guys that are going to make them better. Put them with guys that they can talk to after the match or before the match, and they can learn something. Yes, I truly believe, you know, if you have the mindset that you're a fucking superstar, when you crack that curtain, you're somebody to be watched. Okay, but you have to not just talk about it. You have to go out there and produce that. You have to go out there and act like you're somebody. You can't just talk about it. And, you know, there's a lot of guys that have egos, that they think they are better. And I implore a lot of them guys to please watch your matches back, but don't actually watch your match. Just listen to it.
Right. Pay attention to the fans and see what they're doing while you think you having this fucking great match in your mind, you know. And here's the thing. Look, El Juggalo's with us, says what's popping tonight. And Cordell, I mean, and Cordell's 100% right. He said the sad thing is most bookers don't want to listen or even get mad when guys come and suggest stuff. And that's the way you come up with some of your best shit. Look, I can have an idea, but obviously, you know, if you're in tune with your character, you 100% know what JPJ would do a little better than me as the booker know what you do. I can come up with ideas and scenarios, but sometimes it takes you to hash that out to make that shit all work together.
And that's the thing I'm saying. So if I come up with ideas, you know, Jack Parker Jr. comes up with an idea for Cordell, you know, since he chimed in, and I get to whoop his ass at APW later next month. But just kidding, Cordell. But if I get to come up, you know, and I give Cordell this angle that, hey, I want you to do this, but it's something that Cordell would never do.
Right.
You know, and he goes, man, you know, I get what you're telling me to do, but that's something I wouldn't do. All right. So if I'm going to be the asshole booker and I'm going to go, well, you work for me, you're going to go out there and fucking do it. And he goes out there and it looks like shit.
It's on the company. It's on you and the company.
Yeah, it's on me and the company. It's not on Cordell. I'm the one that asked him to do it. But if Cordell says, hey, how about we go out here, because this is what I would do in this situation, because this is me in this situation, and this is us working together. And Cordell goes out there and he does it. It blows the roof off, good or bad, as far as heel or baby. It blows the roof off. Then we both look good.
Right.
Cordell gets over. He's got some more asses in the seat that, good or bad, either want to see him win or see him lose. Company, as a booker, I'm telling a good story like I want to do, but I'm also getting, you know, staying employed as the booker because there's asses in the seats. The company looks good because they're making more money.
Right. And
Because
Cordell gets over with the booker because now the booker knows, hey, you know, dude's got some good ideas, man. Might want to listen to him more than I have up to this point. And I'm like you. The one thing I always, and here's the thing, we all know in wrestling you can be made to do or need to do some of the most outlandish dumb shit sometimes. It's just the way it is. But I always put myself in the mind of, if this was real life and a real scenario, whether I'm Buster Johnson, the Hellraiser, whatever, I said, what would the Hellraiser do in this situation? Not what would Buster do. If I'm the Hellraiser, what would the Hellraiser do in this situation? And that's how I play the scenario in my head. What would who I am, my character, actually do if this was real life and I was put in that situation? And that's the easiest way to do it for me, dude. I'll be honest with you.
But you know the double-edged sword of this conversation, though, is I'm saying, like, you know, as JPJ, and you're saying as, you know, Hellraiser, and Cordell is, you know, Cordell, what we would do in that situation and how bookers don't listen to. But the double-edged sword is saying all this, you're going to get some guy that you've got a good angle built up, and it's just something somebody doesn't really want to do, and they're going to go, well, that's something that I wouldn't do.
Right.
You know, and it's kind of funny because you're, you know, I think that's where my wrestling mind goes, well, but you've only been in the business 6 months. You've only been in business a year. And that's why I try to keep away from putting guys that haven't been in the business very long in angles, because I think you've got to build up learning how to work first.
And you got to figure out at least a little bit of who the fuck you are out
Who
there.
you are, right.
When you're first breaking in, you need reps more than any fucking thing else. You need to get out there and work, hone your actual in-ring craft. And here's what I always tell guys, man, young guys, a lot of guys want to start the business and they have already got a gimmick or a character in their head. And that's fine. But more times than not, once you actually get in the ring and you're active, a lot of times you realize this fucking gimmick is just out of the way right now. There's no way I can pull it off. It's not going to work anyway. I tell guys, focus on being good at what you do, honing your craft, get those reps, and then over time, the gimmick is naturally already in you. You will find the gimmick. The gimmick will come out.
You know what? You know, and I 100% agree with that. But you know what? I also have, the one thing I think I've dealt with most as a booker, and I don't understand it, is wins and losses.
Oh, God. I don't either.
I don't get it. Like, again, I think once you're established as a worker, and I'm going to use Aaron Roberts as the example. Aaron Roberts is a huge individual. I've watched him lose a lot. You want to make believability out of this? Well, again, there ain't very many people going to beat Aaron.
Right.
Just size alone, you're in for a long night. But I've watched him lose. Okay, but as a booker, I'm booking it because I want his loss to mean something. I want it to build somebody up. If I go out there and you're 6 months into the business, like, don't expect to be, 75-0. You haven't even learned who you are yet.
And here's the thing. Aaron, he's been doing this since he was 13 years old. And let's be honest, it's just over the last couple of years that the gimmick finally found him. He finally evolved into who he was always supposed to be.
Right. But that's also a thing too. Like, I with me, before I become booker, and it kind of carried in, because when I became booker, my mindset was, look, I don't want to be the champion. I don't like that. And again, I know what people say. Well, it's the one guy you can trust. You're always going to be there. You know that what stories you're wanting to tell, your main event story is going to be on there because you're in it. Well, I'm comfortable in everything I've done in the business. If tomorrow I broke my back and that was it, I'm perfectly fine with everything I've done in the business.
Right.
I want to get some of these younger guys. I want to showcase them. I want to showcase the guys that have been across the country that I've got to work with on shows that nobody knows about. Them hidden gems that you go to another show and you go, man, that dude can go.
Right.
And that dude can tell a fucking story. I want to bring him to Arkansas because nobody's coming to fucking Arkansas to watch wrestling or to, and I hate that. I hate that mindset because for whatever reason, Arkansas guys there's not very many good ones.
Well, hey, now here's something that I noticed when I first moved to Tennessee, and this is the honest truth. The Tennessee boys on the same level as the Arkansas boys were way fucking better up here, but there was also 4 fucking companies that they could work at each and every week, and they were just more advanced. Now, I will say this. Since that time, I've seen the Arkansas guys starting to up their game. They're catching up. But when I first got here, I was blown away. All these fucking West Tennessee boys could work their fucking asses off. Well, every one of them.
I look at now, and I'm going to take myself out of this conversation for a second. We have wrestlers in this state now that have traveled out of this country.
Right.
Will Steven, who I think is the epitome of like British strong style, and he's fucking phenomenal, and he needs to be seen. We have a kid who went to the Nightmare Factory and trained under Cody Rhodes, and Gaston, who storyteller 101. If you've ever wanted to, be captivated from start of a story to end of a story, he's one of them. Now you've got the Clap Boys, who's been all over the country. The older ones as East Coast Bad Boys, been all over the country. Now you got their sons coming up.
Right.
They're good enough to be on Memphis TV already. You've got the LA Hustlers, who's been all over the country. You've got, now you've got the Modern Day Monsters, which Bruce, as Warwolf,
right.
I don't know how many people know this, but a few months ago, got to go and be at JCW at the Garden.
Yeah, I watched that, man. I watched the Battle Royal he was in.
Kay Toomer, phenomenal. And again, I don't want to miss anybody like a Garth or sorry, Buck Skinner. Each one of these little companies, Ray Ivy at Wrestling with Pride just wrestled Mike Quackenbush, and like Quackenbush said, dude, you got all the tools.
Right.
Each one of these companies has somebody in the company that has done something or been somewhere, whether it's Mike Anthony, who, I think, again, I don't know why Mike Anthony's not signed yet. Anyway,
I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's got mostly to do with his size. I do. I do. I think that's the one thing that keeps Mike from getting a real contract with one of the big companies.
But I mean, look at TNA, and I look at some of these other places. I just don't understand it because, and even Kay Toomer being another one, and again, I could go down the list of all these guys and how good they are, and why are they not, somewhere. But again, I got told years ago by Bob Evans, when me and Bruce were still tagging, and we watched a couple guys that were a little local get a little recognition. And yeah, it hurts. It stings because, how many of us were told, we're fucking good. You're real good. You got something. You do. Right. And then 2 or 3 years go by and you're still good, even better now, and you got something, but nothing's happening. And Bob Evans taught me how to make money on the independents and be happy. Maybe it's, what if they don't call? What if you're this fucking good and they don't call?
And that's something guys need to take a look at. Here's the thing. All of us were not meant to make it to that biggest, highest fucking stage. It sucks to say that, but that's just the truth of the matter. Everybody don't make it to WrestleMania. It's
Right.
as simple as that.
But what's to say though, and this, you're exactly right. And I look at this on the independent level now. You weren't good enough to make it to WrestleMania, but you're good enough to have WrestleMania moments.
Right. There's more killer workers that have never made it to WrestleMania than there ever will be that does.
Right. So you look at 6-7 years ago, who was put in our area, in our, I'll say the tri-state, who was putting out better matches than Austin Lane?
Right.
There's a guy that, was phenomenal. Wrestled Ricochet, Austin Aries. You can name who's who that he wrestled, but he never made it. But by God, I watch him every Saturday night. Doesn't matter how old he gets. He'll go out there and wrestle like it is WrestleMania.
Right.
And that's the thing that that I'm trying to now. Like I said, like I have a 15-year-old son. And I made, the fans have heard me say it. A few other close friends in this business have heard me say it. Look, I'm not giving up on any type of dream. Like I want to make it, and I'm going to push for something. And what making it is, I don't know, but I'm going to keep pushing.
Right.
But until then, until I get that phone call or don't get that phone call, I'm going to make OCW a must-see place. I'm going to make the guys that work at us, OCW, must-see kids, must-see people, must-see stories, must-see angles, must-see pay-per-views.
And here's the truth of it. There's a lot of guys around our area right now that are really branching out and starting to make names for themselves in other companies. Ohio Valley, the NWA, out in Texas. There really are. Look at the Crowleys who are now the Outbreak in JCW.
Oh my God!
Here's the thing, Barnabas. Those guys always had it, but they needed that hood ornament right there, that mouthpiece. Those guys, since them they hooked up with Barnabas, those fucking guys are off the charts. They are money. The whole group is fucking money.
Okay,
right
so
now.
let's go back 3 years ago. Or if you want to go back a little farther, when Memphis Wrestling started on TV, back on TV, I mean, the Crowleys were captivating. Now, I'm not going into politics or not going into reasons that Otis left. Now Abel steps up. They start tagging up. They're having phenomenal matches after phenomenal matches after phenomenal matches. I even posted the other day, I think they're one of the best tag teams, bar none.
Right.
And I'm not knocking any other tag teams. I'm not knocking the Steel Crosses or or the K9s at our group or wherever. I'm not knocking any other ones. But they were having some of the best matches in our area in tag team wrestling. And then now look at them as the Outbreak. I have talked about them, I think, more over the last 3 weeks, and just how I can't get enough of their videos. I can't get enough of their matches, even their pictures. I can't get enough of their promo pics. Like,
the Outbreak works for those guys. You would think, well, how do you improve on the Crowleys? But they did it, man. They changed them. And here's the thing. It's like a puzzle. Sometimes you can have pieces and sometimes they fit, but not right like they need to.
Right.
Now they've got all the pieces they need. Those guys as a unit, man, they're off the fucking charts now. And I've always felt like, here's the thing about the Crowleys. I've watched them a bunch live. They're off the charts in the ring, but I felt like there was just always something missing from them. And dude, I think Barnabas is the thing. I think those guys with Barnabas, I think all the pieces went together like they need to. I love those fucking guys. I'm like you. I can't get enough of the Outbreak now.
Well, and then you look at Aaron Roberts, who I wrestled 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Thought he was great then. Look, there's not a match I think that me and Aaron's had that I can pick apart and go, man, if Aaron just worked on this, if he just worked on that, he would, he'd be there. Well, then you look, he was the one around here, the one to get ID.
Right.
And again, I don't get the politics of why stuff didn't happen or doesn't happen, but I'm also a big believer in, look, there is no failure. There's just setbacks. So they took the ID back, whatever. Now go back to the drawing board. You're already good. You've already got. Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing about Aaron. Here's the thing. Just because the ID thing is gone right now, that don't mean he's still not on their fucking radar. I can guarantee you somebody's still keeping an eye on what Aaron is doing. And you know as well as I do, especially at that level, sometimes it ain't really about your talent. It's about them having something for you to do. Right. Creative coming up with something for you to do. Just because it didn't work for Aaron this time, don't mean a year from now they won't call him and give him a real contract, a full-blown contract.
Here's the thing, and I'll say this, Aaron is, and I don't know if he's listening. I know Cordell's on here, but I've always been impressed with Aaron. I've always had good matches with him. We've always been able to tell good stories. And I was super excited when he got ID'd.
Me too.
When I got the message that somebody from Memphis Wrestling was being ID'd, somebody had asked me who I thought it was because I was no longer with them guys, and that was fine. But they said, who do you think it could be? And I gave my short list, and Aaron was on the short list. And then as soon as he got it, I got a chance to reach out to him because, when I got to go work OVW, being from around here and getting that chance to go work OVW was big. Aaron was one of the first people to reach out to me. And, I was excited for him. But the one thing I would like for him to remember is he's still fucking Aaron Roberts.
That's right. That's right.
And again, I don't think he's sitting at home, sulking and crying because, look, they took his ID. No, I think he's thinking of my next plan. How to get there now. How to, where do I go from here? But how do I get there?
Right. And I think Aaron's he's going to persevere, man.
Oh man, I see Aaron getting there. But I'm that way with everybody. Like, not only do I want to see Arkansas wrestling succeed, I want to see all my peers and all my friends. I want to see them succeed. I want, if it doesn't matter if it's, a guy, if it's one of the Clap boys from MCW or one of them boys, I want to see them guys make it. I've been on shows with them. I've seen them kids, watch them kids grow up. Aaron, Cordell, guys like that, Mike Anthony, Kay Toomer, Will Steven, all them guys that I've been on shows with, even Bruce and David with the Modern Day Monsters, the Outbreak, guys from my show, Garth, Aaron Everest, which I think will be there too. I think you give that kid another 2 years and the sky's going to be the limit.
Yeah, I do too, man.
Austin Militalo, big believer in, just his, the way he fucking just grinds every day, putting his stuff out there, going to all these extra stuff. I think you're going to see him somewhere.
I do too.
And I can't wait. And like I said, like if at the end of the day, this is all I ever get to do is just travel here and there, but getting to go across the country a couple times a year and wrestle. But I have a successful promotion that I help run, and then maybe I help the next kid up. And he goes, man, I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm not getting any younger. And to be honest, my son is getting close to where he's getting ready to start. And, at some point, I'm going to lift my last weight. I'm going to give my last body slam, but I'm not going to step away from the business. I'm just going to go behind the scenes and tell crazy ass stories that bring the fans in.
Right. And you talk about bringing the fans in. Y'all got a big show coming up this Saturday night, man. I'm going to pull up the main graphic first. That way you can kind of promote the show. And then I got 2 other graphics of specific matches that I want to pull up before we get out of here that we can go over. Let me bring this one on stage. Hold on. I got a better format to get us.
There it is.
So people can see us a little better. There you go. This is this Saturday night, man. Talk to us about this show, man. Promote it to everybody.
This Saturday night is Nightmare on Gibson Street, Part 3. I don't know that I can't remember if he put the 3 on there or not. I think I told him not to, but no. Yeah, it's our big Halloween show. We're gonna make man, like when I say that we're gonna make a spectacle out of this Halloween show, it's gonna be something that, like, how do I want something the fans have never seen before. Yes, and I understand, like, you've seen Halloween shows. There's been shows that's had a few of these type matches on it. But when you come to the arena at, Flatlanders, Out of Control Arena, whatever you want to call it, at 609 Southeast Gibson Street, Hoxie, Arkansas, your whole experience is going to be nothing but Halloween.
Cool.
So from the very first open match, I can tell you, it is, and like I said, I want to give every fan their money's worth. Whether you're a comedy guy, a person that loves the comedy part of wrestling, you get to come in right off the bat and see every one of the OCW superstars who are excited about doing this. We are having a costume battle royal, and I know you've seen costume battle royals before where the guys dress up as their favorite superheroes and stuff, but we're going to do it in a way that I don't know that it's been seen before. We got a couple entrances to the wrestling that I don't know how they're going to wrestle in the stuff they're wearing, but it's going to be good. It's going to be really good. And this was all the guys coming together and pitching ideas, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it Rumble style, so we're going to take a wrestler, which is a gimmick, or has a gimmick. We're going to take that wrestler and we're going to give him a gimmick. The wrestler has to come up with another gimmick to come out and wrestle him.
I like that, man. It sounds fun.
Like so if Hellraiser shows up, Hellraiser can't walk out there as Hellraiser.
I got to be Garth motherfucking Mahoney, right?
You got to be Garth Mahoney, right? Like this is what I'm saying. Like, and it's fun because it's what we do, on a daily basis. Is we take who we are as individuals outside of the arena, outside of wrestling. We take who we are as individuals and we make ourselves larger than life. We make ourselves something else. And then now I'm taking that larger than life character and I want to make him larger than that. So whether you come out there as, Batman, if Garth Mahoney puts on the black tights and dons the cape and comes out as Batman, that is not Garth Mahoney. That's Batman. And, and I kind of pitched it to the guys the way I kind of wanted it to go. And then all these ideas started flowing in and and again, we were just talking about it. When these guys get to rolling, I got a really good group of guys that they have some crazy ass ideas and it fits with what we're trying to do. And therefore it's like, yeah, go for it. Because if you're going to put yourself 100% into this, and I know what you can do already, and you're leaning into what you're doing on Saturday night, it's going to be good. And and like I said, like that's the start of the show. So the crowd's going to get some laughs. They're going to get some, we got some special entrances that haven't been seen at OCW for a couple of years that don't have to be in costume. They, they're gonna, because they've been away for a while. So we're not only gonna have fun with it, we're also going to pay tribute to some of the people that helped pave the way for the original bunch of OCW and getting to where we're at today and where we're going.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like that's going to be a blast, man. Not only for the fans, it's going to be a blast for the boys. And the thing about a good dressing room, a good locker room, you need your guys to have camaraderie.
Right.
You need all the guys. Look, we ain't all got to agree on everything, but we all need to have camaraderie and work together. And man, that sounds like it's a fucking blast. Going to be a blast, Jack.
And I believe it will be. And, and I'm, again, like when I was telling you, like I kind of wanted to take myself out of the, main event picture because I believe in building this company. So I'm only going to do the Battle Royal Saturday night, unless somebody, one smart ass kid wants to get lippy and, bring me out a little later. But for the most part, I plan on just being in the Battle Royal. Can't tell you what I'm going as because it's gonna, I don't know, it could be funny, it could be, dark, it could be mysterious, and so I don't want to give it away what I'm going to be because I kind of want to give that, and I don't want to give away what anybody's going to be because I want the fans to be, I want them to be in on the fun. I don't want
Jack,
to.
I got an idea for Garth. He needs to be prestigious P and hit everybody in the fucking battle royal with a Canadian destroyer in the first 2 minutes, man.
So I guess Garth's still harping on the Canadian destroyer, ain't he? Hey,
no, it's actually Wade Matthews is harping on the Canadian destroyer.
Yeah. But look, I'm gonna say this. Since we're talking about prestigious P, and I'm not gonna knock the kid. I think the kid is phenomenal.
I think there's a lot of potential there, dude.
I think he's one of those kids that when that light bulb comes on and he gets it, he's going to be dangerous.
Here's the thing, Jack. When I approached him about the Dirty Dozens, he was the only one that didn't have any apprehensions. He didn't give a damn what he looked like, if he won or lost. He was just up for doing it for the exposure, man.
And that's good. And that's the thing, like, so we can poke fun of him doing the Canadian destroyer, 8 seconds into the match or whatever. Like we can poke fun into, but we also got to remember he's still young.
You know what we really do? Jack will rib him. He never wins with the Canadian destroyer. It's his finisher, but every fucking body kicks out of it. Man. Everybody.
Yes. But that's the thing, like, and I like Prestigious P, and I think, I think he's got a long career ahead of him. I think once he starts to put it all together and that light bulb clicks on it, and I'll admit, him being with Klein is a very good idea.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Klein will really help him out a lot.
I think so too. And I like Klein as a manager. I've liked him, since I first met him at Memphis Wrestling. I think me and Bruce had wrestled, his boys down there, and I met him then. And I haven't been on too many shows since then with him, but like I've always enjoyed listening to him talk. And I know most people would disagree, but I think he does exactly what he's supposed to. He's supposed to get heat.
If you like heat, good managers who get real heat, Klein is the guy, man. I'll be honest with you.
I'm surprised, and I don't know if he's done it yet. I've kind of been off Facebook a little bit, but if you're listening, Klein, you haven't put out your top 500 list this year, like you did last year. We need to get that out this year.
It'll be all Klein. It'll be Klein and Prestigious P.
Look, you got to admit that was some of the funniest shit in the world last year.
Everything Klein fucking does is funny, man. It cracks me up.
Johnny Dotson had so much heat from all of wrestling, and Klein put him on that list, and I absolutely lost it. Like, I looked at his list, and it's some of the, it's some people that, one, I think were made up. Two are not, I think like 3 of them have been retired or maybe dead.
Right.
And then Johnny's on there, and I go, oh man. Like I like when there's somebody that likes to stir the pot just a little bit,
Right.
but they use it in a work way, and I like that. So when he did that, I was like, yeah, I'm a Justin Klein guy.
Me too.
If he ever wants to represent me, like let's talk numbers. Like, you know, I'll
All
be
right, Jack, we can't have you in the Klein Collective now. I
well.
want to say this right off the bat. You know Dorian Vane's in the Klein Collective, and I got a little reel after we get off of here tonight. I got a little reel of Dorian celebrating his favorite supper after every title match he wins. So when I post it, you do not want to miss this shit. It's
Okay,
hilarious.
I'll watch it, but here's what I want to say to Justin Klein. Hey, man, if you want to put me in there and drop Dorian, that'd be a smart idea.
So look, Jack, talk about Lee Michaels versus Jonathan Black here, man.
Okay, so last weekend, I was in American Hostile, and I got a phone call that Jonathan Black had apparently attacked Lee Michaels in the back, but has been calling Lee out saying he's going to bury his career. So since he's going to do it, Lee Michaels said, all right, well, if you want to try it, let's have a casket match. So
goes right along with the Halloween theme.
Yeah, it goes along with the Halloween theme. So we're going to have a casket match. Hoping I'm still in contact with the guy trying to get him to the show, but if I can, it's not just going to be a casket match. Yes, there's going to be a casket, but we have a young man who owns a 77 black Hearst.
Oh,
We're in this area. So the loser not only will be locked in the casket, they're going to take a ride to the unknown in a 77 Hearst.
Be sure that man has a real body in the back of the hearse right beside whoever's in there. Be sure, man.
Like, I mean, if he does, we may put it in the casket before one of them gets thrown in it that way.
Oh, God.
But no, so them two, they're very similar on their styles. Like, Jonathan Black is a very aggressive wrestler.
Right.
He's a Komachi wrestler, and I think the cool thing about it is, I think, because Lee's getting older and up there in age, and to see his, see this, him being a baby face has been completely different for the fans, and they're behind him. They are 100% behind him. They hate Jonathan Black because he's one of the, like I said, he's just smooth. Like, he's got that swagger behind him. Like, man, this dude knows he's cool. Like, he's that dude. He's that high school quarterback. Man, this guy, that's dating the homecoming queen. Like, this dude knows he's good. And that is Jonathan Black to me. He is that kid he's the Patrick Mahomes of OCW. Just when he walks in the building, he's somebody, but also he knows he's somebody.
Right.
And you got Lee Michaels over here who, gritty old veteran that's been doing this for years, has been, overlooked, overpassed, has, because of his size. And, and now in the last probably, I don't know, I'd say probably 3 years, having some of the best matches of his career. So it's kind of like that young versus old. You get besides the swagger part, the wrestling style. I mean, Jonathan Black, it might be the younger version of Lee Michaels, just in a very, a few inches taller body.
Right.
So that's going to be an interesting one to see. I think it's going to be it's going to come down to, just who does not want to be closed off in a casket.
I don't want to be closed off in a casket, JPJ.
Hell no. I look at that like besides the next match we're about to talk about, like being closed off in the casket is the step before, finite, being buried, and yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good one. I have very high hopes that more than likely that's going to be match of the night. Just because of what them two guys can do.
Right. And Lee, being a long time heel, I can see where the fans, now he's a babyface, love him to death. I can see that I can see him really being over as a babyface, man.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so crazy because I've known Lee for years, and as long as I've known him, he's been a heel, and every time I've wrestled him, he's been a heel, and it's like, to see him as a babyface, it's different, but then you hear the reactions that he gets, the sympathy that he gets from the fans. Though, I believe the fans truly want the best for Lee Michaels, and they want him to be okay as his well-being is. They want him to be healthy and be okay. And a lot of people, I want to tell you, Lee Michaels is one of the toughest guys that I know. He is battling some back issues, but you couldn't tell it by watching his matches. He just goes
out. When the fans care about you like that for real, you've made a connection.
Right.
You've done your job through the years. When they really care about who you really are and your real health and everything, then you know that you did a good fucking job through the years, man.
Right. Absolutely. And and like I said, I worry, because me and Lee are friends, I worry about his health. But that's on a personal level, not just as a booker, and then you talk to him and he comes in the show, he's like, listen, I'm going to give you everything I got. And he does.
Right. Jonathan Black, John's in here. He said it won't be him in the casket.
Well, we'll see. I mean, man, we'll see. I'm not going to count Jonathan out, but I damn sure ain't going to count Lee Michaels out either.
So let's talk about Garth Mahoney's matchup here, man. Let's talk about this, dude.
So first and foremost, I got to tell this story about how this match come about. Going to break the wall a little bit. All right, so I wrestled at PPW. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before. And Walker Hayes and Tiger Mask
Man, I seen that fucking match, dude. I seen that.
They had that match. And I, again, I thought then, oh, that's a cool match. That's something that nobody around here is doing. It's different. You had an idea, and you're like, what would be cool? Let's have a Buried Alive match. Because we all remember Mankind versus Undertaker, Undertaker versus Kane, Triple H, we Shawn Michaels, all them, we remember all them matches from the mid-90s. And it was not even on my radar of a match that we could have, because you got to look at it like, all right, well, I got to get a lot of
moving parts.
Yeah, you got to get a hold of people. You got to make sure, because if you're leasing the building you're working out of, or you have the promoters, you got to get okayed through. Then you got to figure out where to dig the hole, how to set all that up. Again, there's a lot of parts that play a part in making one of those matches happen. So Garth had just won the title, and I knew Archer had a beef with the way he was presented before.
Right.
Because I think Archer is phenomenal. Him and Allie both, I think together, they can tell some good stories. But I think Archer as a worker is phenomenal. Had some of my best matches of last year were against Archer. And, and I hear that, he's got a beef and he wants to come in, but he absolutely hates Garth. And I don't know anybody that can hate Garth. I mean, Cody or Garth or whatever you want to call him is one of the.
Hey, after I found out he got a fucking truck, I hate his ass, Jack.
Well, you know, and I might be telling this to Archer now, so he might hate him even more. But so I reached out to Archer, and he was going to come in last weekend, and it was just one of those deals. It was like, hey man, you know, would you like to come work? Yes. You know, cool. Who am I working? Well, I'm not going to be there. So get with, you know, somebody, you know, and I kind of told him who to get with, and I'm not going to, you know, throw his name out there, but he did a very terrible job of keeping them apart. But I guess Archer had seen the flyer and he reached out and he said, hey, can I be a part of the Garth celebration? Sure. You know, absolutely. Go do that. Yeah, I didn't know he was going to attack him. I didn't know that you hated Cody, Garth, whatever you want to call him, that fucking much. And then now he's got a truck and maybe we all should jump him. I don't know. But no, Cody, you better watch your back because, like,
hey, maybe everybody in that battle royal should hit Cody with that fucking Canadian destroyer,
right? But no, so again, getting Archer back was something that was one of my goals, and been talking to him for months, and in the process of getting him, you know, getting back because he was working for two other companies over here, WWP and TNR. So getting back, you know, just waiting for the right time. And it just so happened like it was right before Halloween. And I am talking to a friend of mine, which a lot of people's got to see him a little bit. And I think you'll see his flyer out tomorrow. But so a friend of mine goes by Buckshot. Everybody keeps asking me who he is. But talking to him, he's like, what are you going to do with Garth? Because you look at it, you know, if you would have looked at the card 2 weeks ago, I had the main event would have been the casket match.
right?
But that puts the New Era title as the main event match that night. And Garth, who's our heavyweight champion, you know, in all respects, one of the faces of our company, he didn't really have a match. And I jokingly turned and said, well, if somebody hated him enough, I could put him in a buried alive match. And then I turned around and I said, Garth can be in a buried alive match. And then I started the ball of getting a hold of the places that we needed to go. So, you know, luck would have it, Archer can't stand him, doesn't like what he stands for, doesn't like the trailer park stuff, you know, thinks Garth is just a one-trick pony, and actually thinks he's too banged up to be heavyweight champion too, and said that he would be more than happy to bury him.
There you go.
So, you know, everything that happened last Saturday night, again, I wasn't there. I was at American Hostile, but everything that happened, you know, I've got nothing but comments of people going, I can't stand Archer Mosley anymore. Like, and I keep telling them, I was like, well, I don't think you can stand Garth either. So this is going to be good. Garth posted his video today. He's getting in the gym. I still want to know where he's getting all the money at. You know, he gets a truck. Now he's got a gym membership. Like, what the hell?
Right.
Nobody offered me a truck when I was there. but no, you know, Garth's getting in the gym, getting ready, making sure that knee of his is, you know, healed up enough. Because, I mean, that's going to be a very physical match. Two
right.
big boys. Because Garth is deceptively big.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I realized that until a couple of weeks ago when I wrestled him. You know, I'm thinking like, man, like I probably outweigh Garth by, you know, 50 to 60 pounds. I probably got, you know, at least 40 to 50 pounds of muscle on him. I was like, it's going to be cake. It's just going to be easy. And No, it was not. And so I look forward to this match just as much as I do the casket match, because everybody in this area has seen a casket match,
Right.
but nobody in Arkansas has seen a buried alive match.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
Especially in our area. Now
Right.
we found the perfect spot to dig the hole. We got it okayed by the city. What happens after after he's buried? I don't know. If Archer's to win, he may completely bury Garth. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it because, like I said, it's kind of just something that I just kind of threw at somebody, and I was like, wait a minute, we can do this, and that's something I want to keep doing. Is bringing different things that you see on TV, and you go, man, I'd love to be able to see that on the independents, and that's the thing that I want to do too. I want to bring that people talk about on, they see it on TV and they liked it and they're like, oh, I love that. But we never see things down here like that. And so I want to bring them type of matches. Now, I had a couple months ago, we had an elimination chamber style match. It wasn't the whole setup, but we had cages, shark cages that we put 4 guys in a shark cage. We had 4 set out around the ring, put a guy in each one, and 2 guys started the match. And we did that and packed the place out because they'd never seen something like that.
Yeah.
Only on TV. And that's the biggest thing. And my God, Buster, I've been talking to you for 3 hours.
Hey, actually, I look, I only set this thing for 10. That's what I was doing for 3 till 10. I was looking on Facebook to see if we were actually still alive. Still alive. We are, but we're fixing to have to really wrap it up because I think it only gives you 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Overtime.
I'm sitting there talking, and I looked down, I was like, shit.
No, dude, I've had a blast. I've been looking forward to this one since we booked it, man. I've enjoyed this. I was looking forward to getting your perspective now from the last time we talked, man. I see a ton of growth in you, Jack.
Well, and I appreciate that. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Like, now it's not just about me.
Right.
They, OCW come to me. They asked me to book it. And originally it was just, okay, I'll just use my contacts. I'm kind of got to let the guys, I'll give angles, but then it just, I don't know, like I got to falling in love with writing everything, and I started at the end and I write backwards.
Right.
This is where we're going to end this, and then I get to the beginning, and then once you kind of go with the guys and you talk to them and you're getting their ideas and they're getting excited, then it makes you more excited to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And so I got to say, I've got a family worth of guys up there at OCW. I have one of the best groups, one of the best locker rooms I've been in a long time. A bunch of hungry guys that want to tell great stories, want to have good matches, want to put asses in the seats, and you can't ask for nothing better than that.
No, that's what you need. You need guys. Like I said, man, a good locker room has good camaraderie. Everybody is working for the show, not themselves.
Right.
Jack, plug Saturday one more time, and then we're going to get the fuck out of here, dude.
All right. This Saturday night, Southeast Gibson Street, Hoxie, Arkansas. Nightmare on Gibson Street 3. So I'm just going to give you a rundown of the matches so far. We got the costume battle royal. We have the casket match. We have the buried alive match. We have a Halloween death match. I'm not a death match wrestler, but I'm going to give this a chance.
There is a niche out there for. There are. I mean, it's a thing. So
right.
There's people out there that want to see it.
And I have a feeling this is going to be unlike anyone you've ever seen before, because I know the 2 guys in it. It's going to be crazy. But again, and then we have a we have a Monsters Ball match. And then our tag team titles on the line. We don't know who PJ or Paul Jacobs. We do not know who his partner is yet. It could be somebody from the past at OCW. It could be somebody that nobody's seen before. You'll just have to wait and see. And, it all happens Saturday night. Trunk or Treat starts at 4:00, and the show starts, doors open at 6. Show starts at 7.
Sounds like it's going to be a hell of a show, not just for the fans, but for you guys too. It sounds like it's going to be a fun ass time, man. A good show to be a part of, Jack.
Oh, we're going to have a good time. I mean, if not, we're all going to steal Garth's truck.
Flatten all his tires, man.
Yeah,
Turn him in.
Hey, we got 2 train tracks over here. We'll push across both of them.
Yeah, I can see going, man. You need to film that shit as the train hits it, man.
I definitely will. Like, Garth, I'm sorry, bro. Like, it just, I don't know what happened.
Them damn fans, man. Them fans, Garth.
Yeah.
Jack, man. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, man, it's been awesome. Like, catching up and talking wrestling, dude. I love this. I love being able to do it, and I hope each and everybody wants to come out Saturday night, check it out. It's something different. It's not something you're not gonna come and go, oh well, I've seen these shows before. No, it's gonna be unlike anything you've ever seen before. And then, guess what? Sunday, I get to go back to work and do it all over again and start for November. So
right. Jack, man, I appreciate you so much for coming on, giving us your time. Hell of a conversation, dude. I've had a blast. It seems like anytime me and you get on, we talk up 2.5, 3 hours.
I know
more,
that, and I love that, man. Again, like I said, like I do this on a daily and nightly basis where I'll get on a phone call with somebody and talk wrestling and just keep on going and going.
Right.
And going. But I could do it. We could turn this podcast into a 6-7 hour podcast, and I don't think I'd get bored. I think I could keep going and going and going.
When I got somebody who can really talk wrestling with me, I'm the same way, man. I could go forever. And me and you seem to really click, man. And like I said, I've seen a ton of growth in you, even just 3 years ago compared to now. Dude, I love what you're doing at OCW, man. It's coming through the screen. I think you're on the right track, and just keep pushing, man.
I am, and just look, keep supporting us at OCW and keep watching, because again, I know you've heard this. It's kind of cliche-ish, but I'll end on this. You ain't seen nothing yet. I'm not.
There you go.
And so we're gonna have a lot of fun by the end of this year, and then going into next year, it's gonna be a blast. And we got a lot of things coming with the community over here too. And hopefully I'll be on in a little while, some other time before the end of the year, where we can talk like some of the community stuff that we're doing too.
We can definitely make that happen, man. We can definitely do that. I'm fixing to start booking December anyway.
All right, cool.
Jack, man, I appreciate you. You have a great night, my friend.
You too, brother. Talk to you later.
All right, y'all. You seen it right there. JPJ, Hoxie, Arkansas. If you're anywhere around there Saturday night, go check out Nightmare on Gibson Street. Do not miss it. All right, guys, I ain't even going to waste no time. I'm going to play the outro. I'll see you guys next Wednesday night at 7 p.m. with Ty Too Smooth Miller. Do not miss it.
When you hear that Buster H.R. Oh, man, it's about to go down. You feel the tension in the air. Wrestling fans all over the world, get ready for this right here. They're gonna have a field day with this one. You're about to witness Buster Unmasked. Oh, Lord! Oh, Lord! There's no telling what Buster's gonna say today. We just getting started. Just getting started! Welcome to Buster Unmasked! Hosted by Buster H.R. Johnson!